welcome back to the world below here on Dork Tales. I hope you're all having a good night tonight. I am your story guide, Kelly. I use he and him, and folks, we are going back down below with the world below, a brand new game from the Onyx Path. Onyx Path Publishing has been gracious enough to sponsor this stream so that we could play their new game and share it with you. So if you weren't here last time, the characters were sent on a very simple favor from Yorbal to go along a subterranean stream and find a missing trader, also known as a moth in this world. In doing so, while looking for this man who you wrote down, right? You wrote down the name? It's Huntsicker. It's Huntsicker, if it matters. They traveled, were attacked by some haemexii, which are kind of like vampires for the quick term. They're like mosquito people in many ways. And after defeating most of them in a really strange fashion, Christa, the chaos magic threw you over this immense cavern fall down into a formerly flooded area of the world below. And that's where we're going to be picking up in just a couple of minutes. But before we do, I want to get everybody to introduce themselves. So, Traz, as our lizard folk politician, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Traz. I use he and him pronouns, and I'll be playing Spike, the Anticia silhouette that uses they, them. Why am I stuck babysitting again?
Because it pays well.
You know what you
I
did.
get paid?
You guys are getting paid. All right, over in the corner, we've got Kal.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kal. I'm playing Sidian Tough, the Darv, the Myceli Darv hunter, and he uses he/him pronouns, and so do I. Neo Cal in the chat. Yada yada yada. Got a mushroom head. Don't worry about it.
All right, and you're both fun guys.
Well, one of us is.
One of you is, yeah. Sidian's a dick. You're a nice guy, though. All right, down beneath you we have Chris, who's dead. Next, we have Christa.
Hello, I'm Christa. I use she, they, or her, them pronouns, and I am playing Moth, who I don't think thinks too much about pronouns. So, however you feel about them. I feel like the good vibe for this game is the fact that Chris just texted us, "Have gun."
Did he say have gun?
Type. He said have gun.
Hey, I don't make the rules.
One heck of a
Hey,
type.
everybody, put your hands up. Chris has a gun.
Have gun.
Have gun.
I thought he was going into BC, not the States.
Well, he's going into the interior of BC. Which...
Oh yeah. It's true. Anyway, so you were saying
No man's land out there.
That was all. I feel like that's just the vibe.
All right. Also with the guns, pew pew pew. It's Millie.
The guns are what I call my muscles because I'm the buffest VTuber in the Wild West. Hoot nanny. No, hi. I'm Millie. I'm also a bunny. My pronouns are she and her, or they and them. I'm a Gemini. I'm saying this every game now from now on. I'm playing Chewy Chest Whistle, a cool rodent person, traveling merchant, alchemist, obsessed with death. Totally reasonable. Don't worry about it. Cool hat. Also, maybe she, her. Or she, they, gang. I don't know if a mouse knows what a pronoun is. She's just here to bite stuff.
What is the gang thing? It is.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Just new slang.
You need to find out for yourself.
I don't want to be part of the gang.
Don't tell the old man, gang.
It is entirely just a weird thing.
He's gonna fight me.
I feel like maybe it implies some kind of solidarity between other like she, they folks, or maybe other Gemini folks. By the way, Junie, secret words. Pretend I'm saying secret words here. We got to pretend this is a secret message. Okay, Junie? Okay. Thanks. Great. Brilliant.
I couldn't understand what you were saying.
I was very secret. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was. All right, so folks, thanks again to Onyx Path for giving us a copy of this manuscript to play around with. As I've stated in every previous episode going forward, we are playing around with these rules. This uses the Story Path system, Story Path Ultra to be precise, and we are still kind of fumbling around in it and learning the rules because we're working off a manuscript copy. This should be enough to give you a flavor of the setting and a sense of things. Also, a final reminder that if you like what we do here, the best way to support Dork Tales and get a ton of additional content, I counted it up, it is a literal ton of content by metric weight, almost imperial. You can go to patreon.com/dorktales, support us directly for as little as $5 a month. You can gain access to, this month, it's like 6 extra games. It was gonna be 7, but I had to push Alien to December so that it wasn't 7 games. That's too many games, guys. That's too many games. It's way too many.
This is true. I also really want to play more Alien, and I'm going to take this as a personal attack.
All right, roll initiative.
Oh, look at this person.
Okay, sounds good.
Who can't
Wait, why
get
are we-
stress. Oh, look at me. I can't get stress.
I'm a cool android. I love to beep boop and have no self-control or morality. Anyway, speaking of self-control and morality.
The patron people.
Shutting up.
All right. Okay.
11.
So,
that's way too much.
starting this off, we have a trait called Momentum. It is a trackable resource that the entire party has, entire crew, I believe. Last episode, we had carryover. Now, normally it resets at the beginning of every session. However, because people bought them with channel points, we're having it carry over. So, after last session, you start with an additional 5 points of momentum. On top of that, you are going to get 4 points of momentum, 1 for each player. And because I'm a dick, I'm giving you 3 more points of momentum, and I'm not telling you why you're getting it, because the rules allow me to do that. Because I can give you
deeply concerned.
You should. It's in the dangers of the world below section, where I can literally just say the environment is this, pay you momentum, and then I get some screw you surprises at any time during the next scene. I love it. I think it's one of the best mechanics in any role-playing game ever. I love it. If you have ever tuned into our Star Trek game, they use a similar thing in their threat mechanic. It's not the same. This is Onyx Path's flavor of it, but it's pretty dope. Yes, you should be fierce, Saber Sloth. All right, is there any questions before we begin?
Is that 12 momentum in total then?
That is all. Thank you for giving me some hurt them mores. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 12 momentum. So yeah, keep an eye on what you can spend with momentum.
Opening rule books here.
So add an enhancement hit to an action on a 1-for-1 basis. So you can spend momentum after the dice have been rolled, and only if the dice roll has at least 1 hit. You can spend 2 momentum to change a failure into a success, or a success with a consequence into or a success with a complication if a complication is present. You cannot spend more momentum points for the enhancement or tricks. For tricks or to turn, yeah, okay. So you can spend 1 point of momentum to describe a story element in the scene that is now a fact. And you can spend...
Right, yeah.
You can spend 1 momentum point to gain a piece of evidence about an investigation. So we will be touching on that. Does anybody else have any questions before we begin? All right. So, let's begin. Everybody has current aspirations and everything, right? You're all up to date with that?
I just put mine in.
Oh, one of mine just says a new aspiration. So give me, I'll come up with one here.
New aspiration. Okay.
I definitely just looked at my sheet and I'm like, cool, that's an aspiration every single slot. Oh, what's this new one that I had? Oh, right, a new interesting. Note to self.
I still have my main
mine
one.
is find a magic rock and don't get wet for a whole day.
Oh boy, that's not gonna happen. All right. So, without further ado, let's begin the world below, here on Dork Tales. Last time, on the world below, you fell over the edge of that massive cavern, crashing down into the ground below. Using your chaos powers, you were able to prevent yourselves from being harmed in the process. But now, there are some consequences. Earthar is gone, ferried away by the energies of chaos, perhaps dissolved into nothingness. And you find yourselves now at the bottom of a massive cavern that was once an underground lake. The only way out, a river, hundreds upon hundreds of feet up in the air, which wouldn't do you very much good, seeing as your tiny vessel shattered on the rocks as you landed. We're going to be picking up here, as you look around and catch your breath. and appraise the situation. The area that you have landed on is an immense outcropping of rock that stretches out in a roughly horseshoe shape away from the back cavern's wall. Around it, about 10 feet beneath the mantle of this islet, is churning water. It's murky, gray, and you can't see the bottom. It stretches out for a good 250 feet before vanishing beneath the rock face of the further wall. Behind you, you can see that built into the base of that horseshoe of earth is a derelict stone temple. Purple flames languish inside of braziers out in front of it, filling this cavern with a dull magenta ambience. It is hot here, enough that you can feel beads of sweat, if you're creatures that sweat, beginning to collect on your upper lip. As you brush yourselves off and look around, you can see that the canoe, the boat that you took, was badly damaged. You could probably repair it. But I think this is where we're going to cut in, with you taking a few minutes to recombobulate yourselves there on the rocks. What do you do?
Oh gosh, old Lance's gonna be so mad at me. They're trying to like pick up pieces of the boat that they can get and like put it in a pile.
That sounds good. So why don't you go ahead and make me a... How about a survival plus... Pick an attribute that you think would be good for this.
How do you feel about resolve?
Yeah, I'd allow that, where you're just stubborn enough you keep looking for pieces.
Exactly. And then I think I have one in survival. I do.
I would also allow for, probably not pilot, but technology.
I'd have one in technology, so.
Okay.
Same either way.
All right, let's do it. Okay, and I'm gonna say that there is a complication on this called too many pieces.
Just one?
You just need one success.
So I have 2 successes total.
Okay. Would you like to spend any momentum to get extra hits? You have 12.
I also think it's funnier if they don't find all the pieces. They're just sort of it's just silly for them to try to put it all together.
All right, so looking around, you're going to find many of the pieces of the boat scattered around. And as you are scrounging around, taking up the pieces over the course of about a half hour, you are going to notice something slightly alarming with those successes, with those hits. Your food stocks are not present.
Guys, I found a bunch of the boat, which I think is a great start. But I think most of our food is down there. And points at all the churning.
Boat's not edible, right?
Well, it's arguable, I suppose. Not very nutritious. Possibly digestible. There is a little bit of pitch in it to keep it waterproof, though.
Well,
But do you taste it in the air?
Now,
it's not the boat? Don't taste the boat? They're like,
I would like to remind Chewie that they are deprived right now because they lost all of their body moisture
Oh yeah, absolutely. Chewie is debating doing something, but doesn't quite want to be caught out for it. So I think that she is going to try to scavenge for fire starting materials.
Absolutely. Well, there's a boat right there. You don't even need to roll if you use the boat.
You know, that's a great point. However, Chewie values friendship. So maybe
Okay.
not going to immediately burn the boat yet, but we'll probably do so in like another hour.
Sure. Why don't you make me a survival plus cunning roll, or intellect if
Okay,
you prefer.
sounds good.
Now, to be fair, Bunny, Moss is
Mhm.
very susceptible to like convincing of things, so we'll very quickly give up on the boat.
Also, I just realized that my D10s have been absconded with, so 1 second.
Absolutely.
Survival, cunning, roll time. I'm looking for 8s. I got 2 8s.
You got 2 8s. Okay, so looking around this area, how close are you getting to the temple complex behind you?
Somewhat dangerously.
Okay. As you were approaching,
It's interesting and it's cool. It's got purple flames coming out of it. You can't
it's
not
got
look
purple
at that
flames
thing.
coming out of it, as you can see right
And
here.
also, how bright are those flames?
Pretty bright. Like basically, we're
Cool,
talking like
cool.
neon lights outside of like a dance club in the 80s. Light. Like
That might be a good option then.
as you approach, you're going to notice that there are tendrils of plant matter that are wrapping around some of the support pillars, as well as a canopy of large, like dinner plate size fungi.
Oh.
Like, you know, like the type of like frisbee shaped ones that grow off of trees.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically got like plate upon plate upon plate of it growing off some of the support pillars. So you're looking around for that. You think that they're probably edible. Sidian, I see you raising your hand.
Yeah. I actually have a thesis.
A Cruel
Expensive
Angels
one,
thesis?
right? Cruel Angels thesis. Called Cavern Farmer.
Dun, 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 dun,
Sidian has mastered how to sustain a small supply of food in bleak conditions. Be
Nice.
it raising a particular kind of creature for sustenance or finding crops of edible lichen or other vegetation. When exploring, I can make a simple survival action, with each hit determining the volume of supplies obtained. So, 1 hit feeds 2 people, 2 hits feeds 3, and 3 hits feeds a party of 5 to 6 people.
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay,
dun.
so
Yeah.
I'm going to use
So-
my farming skills to scavenge for edibles, so to
Oh,
speak.
for edible mushrooms is what you're saying.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
not just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, cool. You're not just like finding brownies. Okay.
Well, I keep a lookout for all kinds of mushrooms.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so Chewie, you're going to find these and see that they are kind of like wrapping around many of these support pillars. There's like a canopy of, I want to use the term moss, but because we have a character named Moss, I'm going to say that we have like a growth of like, of
Lichen?
lichen or like fuzzy fungal spores.
I think she's gonna scrape a whole bunch of it off with her knife and start just carrying the giant mushrooms if she can, assuming she doesn't get eaten by them.
Sounds
That's
good.
the plan, at least.
Well, you got 2 hits, so you are going to start being able to harvest some of those. And as you were doing that, you're going to draw Sidian's attention. So Sidian, you wanted to go over there and try to harvest some?
If I can.
Please, please.
All right, let's see what we got here. I guess this would be survival and
Hey, this one's good because it looks like a helmet, right? Holds up mushroom.
well, let's just see. How does
That's what
it?
I always heard. The
how does it
helmet
make your
shaped ones
tongue
go in
feel?
your mouth. The sharp ones go in the enemy.
Well, what do we say here?
She's gonna
It's-
lick it.
Dexterity and survival, or
Do you have,
Cunning?
let's say like int and survival? Or,
intellect and survival?
yeah,
Yeah,
for knowledge of mushrooms and for, I'd say cunning as well would be a good one.
yeah. All my mental stats are the same, so that's easy to.
All right, that's good.
calculate. And I'd like to, can I use 2 momentum to, what is it, buy a success?
So with momentum,
what
what
it
you
does?
can do, you can buy enhancements after the roll.
After the roll, okay.
Okay, everybody's cool with him using 2?
E.
All right.
Ooh, I'm gonna need it.
So you just need
that is-
1 success.
That's just 2.
2 total?
Successes. Yeah.
Okay, well, you spent 2 on enhancements, so that means that you're at 4 total.
Ooh, nice. Okay, so with 2 successes, that feeds 3 people, but with 4 plus, it feeds a community.
Okay, so you have probably a week's worth of rations here in the form of these fungi. Some of them will actually even taste good. In fact, right there, they have ettercap moss there, which is quite fragrant. It almost has kind of like an herbal taste to it. A little bit like majorum.
And how's the mushroom, giant helmet mushroom that are...
Very fibrous and probably tastes like cardboard, but Chewy's right. It's entirely edible. But it will do to your bowels what a huge celery diet will.
So it's fibrous.
It's very fibrous.
Probably not good to take first thing in the morning.
I mean, it all depends on you. It's very good for supplementing meals and preventing you from feeling hungry. And speaking of this, as everyone else is scrounging around for food, Spike, the soft radiant glow around your head is still present. The helm is still on you. And as much as these folk talk about hunger and thirst, you don't feel it. In fact, all you feel is a little voice in the back of your head saying, "Find him. Find him. Find Hunsaker. Find Hunsaker. Return to us." A low hum. What do you do?
I'd much rather be hungry. He's going to start sniffing the air. I have keen senses, so I get
Ooh.
enhancements.
Sounds good.
Because I'm trying to find Earthar because that's my buddy.
That's fair. All right, so what I want you to do, we'll say that this is a tracking roll, so make me a survival roll. And you can use survival and whatever you think would be good. Cunning feels right for this, but you can make me an offer with composure.
No, cunning feels right. I'll do cunning.
Cunning feels right? Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, and you get what's your bonus for this? +2?
Let's see. Just +1 for each sense, because I have it for smell and hearing.
Okay.
And that's 2 successes, so with the enhancement, that's 3.
Okay, that sounds good. Do you want to buy any more?
No, we'll just take 3 for now.
Okay, cool. I'm just trying to get you to blow your points. I'm not saying that you need more. So, sniffing around, you're going to scent something. It's not necessarily Uthar, or Earthar, I should say. But you do smell human. And Darv. And it's leading you... You smell sweat. And as you take a step toward the temple, how close are you getting to it?
He'll inch his way close with an arrow notched in his bow, and the off chance something jumps him, but he's going to get closer if that's where the smell's leading him.
If you head toward, there are steps that lead up into it. About 10 of them lead up into the first level of this old, fungus-covered temple. And as you reach the front steps, you can see that there's layers of lichen that cling to it. However, there are a couple of patches that are completely bare, like they were scraped off. You will recognize caver boots basically like a set of boot claws, like caving claws. The type that you would strap open over your feet, like technically like snowshoeing almost. Those type of climbing boots have scratched through, and you can see there are little rents on the old stone, which is very weathered from all of the water damage it suffered. So it was actually pretty easy for these iron spikes to scratch through it. With 3 successes, you think these are pretty recent. They haven't really had time to blend in with the color of the stone, like a few days maybe, at the most.
So Spike will call out to the others going, "Hey, there are 2 survivors down here. A human and a Darv."
Moss will scramble over and start. How can you tell?
Y'all sniffing?
Yeah.
Two's a little more than expected.
Perhaps her is with somebody else. Maybe that's why he didn't come back.
Hmm.
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 Should we follow them? Do we think that's where Urshar went?
I need to eat something before I follow anyone, anywhere, for anything.
Oh, I've got a stew going. All of this moss, this lichen, all that glowing mushrooms here. We could survive for a week. And I can take some with us, but this might be a safe spot to return to.
You might be down here for a while, so 'tis a good plan.
Chewie, can you have you eaten that mushroom that you found?
Well,
Got a lot of-
I licked it. I've eaten it before, though.
Should eat it when you can. It's got a lot of moisture. Might be able to build your strength back up. And are we doing a fire?
Mushroom?
Have we already kind of done the fire? And
Yeah, Moss has gotten
the
one.
camp?
Like you were starting up on one, and so was Moss, and like everybody was like collecting things for it. Chewie, you were trying to get a fire going as well. I think you were the one who was instigating that. So you easily can with some going through some of the fungi. Some of it is, actually, unfortunately, all of the fungi in this chamber is very moist. It's very humid in here, so the boat could potentially work, or you could try to use some chaos magic to dry some of the fungi out. Yeah.
May I? I'm gonna bring over a whole pile of boat. Well, I don't think we'll be putting it together anytime soon, so perhaps it should have better use this way, and dump it down, and then sort of pick another piece up and realize it's almost like squishy of being so wet, and I was like, bellows. And out of their shirt will come a little orange, little wormy typey guy, and will crawl out and go, well, yeah, can you, like, dry it out a little bit for me? Yes, I know, you'll get 3 mushrooms. How about that? 3 mushrooms and a stone, fine. And Bellows will wind himself in around all of the pieces of wood and just go and light himself on fire because he is my contact whose tag is flammable.
And I see your notes there, little dragon buddy made of spiders.
Yes, he's made of kind of like spider webs and is like covered in like little spiders.
So is he basically
but, like-
functioning like a propane fire pit? Like like one of the camping
Basically,
fire pits?
yeah.
Like
he's
little
just gonna
jets of
hang out in
fire come
there.
out of his spine?
Yes. Yes. So he's kind of hanging out in there until the wood is dry enough to light on its own. So he's going
Okay.
to be sort of a false fire for a little bit until we can start putting drier wood on it.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that and start roasting some of the mushrooms. The more fibrous ones will dry out faster. Not the temple caps that Chewy's eating, but there are some other ones that are they're wood bark mushrooms that are going to be able to be dried out a bit faster, and will be able to be turned into kindling over that before too long. Looking around as well, is anybody inspecting the water?
Me.
All right, Moss.
Does this place count as ruins?
Yes.
Okay, I have one man's trash, which gives me a +2 to finding stuff in ruins.
Ooh, okay, so a +2 enhancement if you succeed. Let's do it. Go ahead and what roll do you want to make?
Cunning. Am I looking for weird stuff?
You could be looking for weird stuff. You could be looking for scavenger natural stuff.
Okay, because I've got good. I only have one in survival, but I've got good esoterica or enigmas.
Enigmas. I feel like that'll come more into place once you're actually, if you decide to go into the temple.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, so either esoterica or I can just do survival.
Let's just do survival for this.
Okay.
I think.
So cunning.
I will add a complication to you of slippery.
Okay. Whoopah. Oh, that's 2 10s and 2 8s, so that's 4.
Okay, that's 5 successes then.
5 successes plus 2
Oh god.
is 7. Minus
And you
your
had
so 6.
Only 6. Only
Only
6.
6.
Okay. So as you lean over and kind of look, it's a little slick, but you're just a little guy. You're not that slippery. You're just a little guy. So you lean over and look into the water. It's murky, and even from here, about 10 feet up, you can smell the strangest thing. It's clinging to your skin as it evaporates up. It's not boiling. It's definitely hot, though. We're talking like warm but not hot jacuzzi tub. We're talking like 100 degrees Fahrenheit water.
Okay.
Like, and as it is kind of churning beneath you, it's very gray water. But as the fumes that are coming off of it almost brine your skin. And as you lick some sweat off of your lip, you're gonna notice it's really salty. This water has salt in it. That doesn't make any sense. Why is it salt water? Maybe this is a salt cave? Maybe there's like a salt deposit down there or something? But
I drop to my hands and knees and lick the rock.
it is very salty.
Oh.
But as you lick it, the rock beneath the sweat that's on it is not particularly salty. It's just the water. Like, this is salt water? You've heard of stories of oceans and things like that before, but almost all of the water is inside of Yorbal, is all fed from the fount's gift, the god's gift. It's fresh water. It's a little warm, but like, it's fresh water. It tastes like seawater, if Moss knew what seawater tastes like.
I was going to ask if Moss had any idea.
I'm going to say no, because I don't think it exists in most of the world below, right? Or it's rare. But as you are looking down, you're going to see that there are it looks like almost like a woman with long hair lying beneath the water. These tendrils swaying back and forth immediately gives you a bit of a start in your chest. And then you realize it's some type of plant. It looks like long strips of plant that are kind of just floating in the water.
Guys, there's some kind of weird water lady over here. I don't know if she's stuck or not. but I think she's made of plants.
I
You
don't
sure it isn't
see a lady.
plant?
Wait, Sidian, you're part mushroom. Do you know much about other people that are part plant?
Yes.
So,
What's that?
Sidian, have you ever been to Seaward, any of the ocean areas?
I want to say they're explorative.
Sure. So tell you what, how about you spend a point of momentum to know what this is immediately?
Oh, right. We can do that. That right?
Right? Isn't
Yeah.
it great? Looking down, you're going to see a massive amount of seaweed clinging to the sides of the rocks down here.
Moss. Do you know what you found?
A sea lady, yeah.
How warm is this water? Can I lean down?
About let's say like 30 degrees Celsius. So it'll be warm, and you're definitely going to be sweaty if you come out of it, but you think you could go in. You're going to recognize immediately this is seawater, which isn't particularly common in this part of the world below, but hey, nothing is very common in the world below, really.
Oh, that's why everything's grown so fantastical like. It's a mixing pot. We've got like a cavernous gorge.
Oh, well, why is your
Those
water
are plants
like
growing down there.
that? In the water?
Aye.
Can we eat it?
Most of them, aye.
Moss will immediately start stripping to jump into the water.
All right, so your little hobgob
Very much
booty,
failing. Yep.
exposing your little
Failing on
hobgob
one of my
booty to the
short
world.
term of not to get wet.
Okay. So
My mom
yeah.
said I'm not supposed to get wet, guys.
guys. All right, so is Moss just gonna jump in?
Yeah.
Okay, so Moss, go ahead and I want you to make me an athletics roll.
I'm going with them.
Okay.
Okay.
Just because I don't know if Moss can swim or not.
I'm gonna be outside the water with a bow and arrow ready, just in case something attacks them.
Perfect.
Appreciated. Well, that's with close combat. Okay. So athletics plus. Can I use Dex or should I use Might or Stamina?
If you're diving in, you could totally use Dex, yeah.
Awesome. I will use Dex.
So
Am I doing the same roll? You go
Good,
first.
sounds good. I'm gonna add a complication to each of you called Deeper Than You Think.
Oh. Tens continue to explode, right?
The tens don't explode, they count as 2.
Oh, okay. Oh, I actually had an extra one from last one then. That'll be 3.
3, okay. Sounds good. So that'll be enough to buy off your complication and dive in. Spike, I want you to give me an Overwatch roll. So if you're kind of keeping an eye on the water, what do you think would be good for just keeping an Overwatch of that? Like aim and composure?
Yes, but there's not aim.
Oh, sorry. I mean, what am I thinking of? I was just looking at a system that had aim. What do you use for your bow? Range combat?
Range combat.
Yeah, I'll say range combat and composure. And Sidian, what did you get on your roll? 4 successes or 4 hits?
4.
All right, so both of you are going to dive into the water as over by the fire, Chewie is siphoning the liquid out of like vampirically, like Bunnicula.
I'm picturing her just like fully like massive mushroom in mouth, just snarfling on it slowly while staring at that really cool purple fire on the temple, completely unaware of whatever is happening directly behind her.
Sounds good. All right. The two of them dive into the water. Spike, how many hits did you get?
I got 2.
You got 2. Okay, so I'm gonna say there's a complication in the water because it's very murky. So you do not have heightened senses. So would you like to buy an extra hit with a momentum?
Sure, if folks are okay with that.
Okay, you are at 8 momentum, which is twice what you should have from the start. So don't be afraid to use it. Okay. So looking through the water, you mostly switch to your peripheral vision, watching for movement above all else. You watch your friends strip down to their skivvies and dive into the water. The sound of the cave echoing around them as they sploosh, sploosh into it. Both of you dive in. The water is warm, borderline uncomfortably warm. It stings a little bit at your eyes, and you find that you, Moss, are having a little bit more trouble swimming than you think, but you adapt pretty quick. Luckily, you're light enough, and you're a very small hobgob, right? So the buoyancy isn't really affecting you. You're very compact. But still, the water's thicker than you're used to, and it's very salinated. Enough that you think if you took a deep breath, you wouldn't have to swim to stay on the surface.
They definitely test that.
All right, doing so, you are immediately going to go from about a foot under the water to rocketing back up to the surface and going sploosh and bobbing up and down like a fish float.
I'm a hobbob.
You're a bob and hob.
A bob.
You're a bob goblin.
Bob Goblin.
Bob Goblin.
No, that's trademark.
Hi, I'm Bob Goblin of Bob Goblin's Goblin Emporium. All right. City, and you dive underneath the waves. Did you use Dex, Stamina, Might? What'd you use?
I used Might.
Okay, so you cannonball into the water, sending up a huge deluge of water that's going to splash around on Spike. Spike's gonna be like keeping his aim out, but it's gonna go and just kind of go down on his hood. And you are going to dive down. So, looking beneath, you can see that there is a great amount of seaweed along the side. I'm talking, if you harvested it all, seaweed is... It's not particularly heavy, except when it's wet, which it always is. I'd say, let's do this in feet. So I'd say you have a crop of about 20 square feet of seaweed.
Holy moly.
Wow.
That's a lot of sushi.
Moss has like grabbed a piece and like tried to rip it up.
Okay.
And
What's your
is
might?
just chewing on it. 2.
2. You're going to start to peel it away from the wall. The seaweed here is very leafy, very blade-like as it reaches out from the wall, but you'll see it at its base. It's very bulbous, almost like onions that you've seen planted before.
Oh, well, then obviously they start eating the bulb.
It's a little
because
bitter,
that's what the onion part is.
but as your hobgob has pretty sharp teeth, right?
I think so.
I think they're kind of like...
I very much imagine like a Pathfinder goblin.
I kind of picture
Like,
that too. So you kind of like gnaw through it, and it's going to rip away from the wall. And as it does so, you're going to start collecting this stuff. It goes pretty well for just a moment. And as the two of you lean in and rip chunks away from the wall, there's going to be a slight vibration in the water in front of you. And I'd like everyone here to make me an athletics plus cunning or empathy plus dex, whichever is higher.
Even those of us who are snarfing.
Yep.
Oh. All right, because that's an initiative roll. That's
an initiative roll.
Let's do some.
Yeah. Oh,
What would you say? Catra?
4.
Oh,
4.
only got one of them.
Okay.
2 successes.
2 successes. One moment while I just look this up. It's a well lich. No, it's not. It is... Here we go. What's my initiative?
Very well lit room.
It's lit, fam. I got 2 successes, which means I think it's going to go to... It's going to go to Moss or Sidian. So both of you roll me a d10 to see who goes first.
Three.
Okay, so Sidian, you are... Oh, actually, Spike, you're going to be able to act normally on this round. You already have your bow drawn and ready, okay? So Sidian will have initiative though. As you pull a chunk of this out, a little bit of the wall of the outcropping is going to crumble away, and you're going to see it starts to dissolve like sand as this immense worm, the size of a small cow, burrows through and punches out at you. It's the front of its ribbed exterior parting to reveal a circular saw mouth. Stabby, stabby.
Stabbing time. Keep
It's
the blade
stabbing time.
between me and the mouth.
All right, go ahead. Let's do it. Make me an attack roll, please. I'm going to give you a complication of 2 because you're fighting underwater.
All right. Close combat and stabbing is might or dexterity.
Which is it for you? So the rules say that it's might, but I would say that underwater in these situations, it could be either.
Let's go might.
I like how modular the system is for its combat, because then you can have your Sherlock Holmes moments of like, ah yes, punch him in the liver, then immediately reverse, step on foot, mouth opens like trash can, put in sandwich, punch in jaw.
Throw scarf over groin. Spin around in 360 degrees. Yell, yee, and kick him in the balls.
All right, that's obviously what you're doing to this worm, right?
1, 2. Yeah, I can do that underwater, right?
Yeah,
You gotta roll to find the worm's balls for first, though.
it's included in the roll.
Oh, okay, 4.
4 successes or 4 hits. Okay, so that will be 1 hit worth of damage, all told. So one for the initial hit, 2 to buy off the complication, and it has a defense of 1. So you have to spend that 1 to bypass that. So you've got 1 hit. So you are going to slash into it. Let me just double check my health. Ooh, that's ridiculous. Okay, you are going to slash. Blood is going to bubble out into the water. Blackish purple blood is going to spill out. And who do you pass initiative to?
Pass it to Spike.
To Spike. All right, Spike, you have an overhead shot. I'm only going to give you a complication of 1 for shooting into water because you've been aiming.
So, okay, that's it. Tricks. Range attacks, tricks. Where are they?
This music is a bop.
I just realized I
Okay,
was popping the music that I didn't hear.
Let's use some magic. I'm going to use Ominous Bolt.
Okay, ominous bolt. How ominous is this bolt?
If I hit you, I can stun you.
Oh boy. I wish I had threat. That's the one thing I wish, is that I ever hurt them more. Huh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Ooh, hold on. I have something that might make this hard for you. Give me 1 sec. I have unusual anatomy. My biology demonstrates extraordinary resistance to all sorts of stress, to the point it's questionable to define if it's living. Increase the cost to purchase the critical trip by 1 for all non-spell altered attacks. Okay, this is a spell altered attack though, so it doesn't matter.
All right, so you want to go ahead and roll?
I want you to go ahead and roll.
All right.
Ooh, I did just get to hurt them more. Thank you very much, Trog. I'm gonna spend this to get a complication called... I'm gonna call this complication as the worm turns.
Cool, I got 8 hits.
Holy shit!
What?
I rolled 10 dice for my bow, so...
Okay, so how much is it? Let's double check this. How much is it to buy the critical hit? So the attack trick is 3 hits to buy critical. So that's in chapter 4 under universal combat tricks.
Probably need to scroll further down.
So under ranged combat, you've got pin down, destroy, and trip as well. So damage, whenever your character is attacked, they can suffer injuries. They may also suffer injuries from other sources, blah, 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 blah. So that is going to be, so you do 1 point of damage with the initial hit, and then if you put 3 hits in, that will be another point of damage, and then if you put another 3 points in, that'll be another point of damage. And you can spend your last point to either, I'm not sure how your uncanny strike or whatever it's called does.
Let's see. Upon successfully striking a target with a range attack, the caster may command the shadows to float about the target, interfering with their ability to act. The range attack gains the shadow and stunning tags.
Okay. So I don't know how shadow works. How does stunning work for
Let's see. Stun, the character is frozen in their tracks. They either took a great deal of damage or suffered a great shock. All actions suffer a moderate complication. Failure to buy off means the character can only take a single reflexive action on their next turn. The complication remains until it's bought off or resolved at the blow, which is receive first aid.
Okay, so that is great. So it's going to have a moderate complication. And then what does shadow do?
Shadow, I think it's called something else.
Ah, yes, manuscripts.
There's a sensitive obscured by shadow, distorted illusion. This is what shadow finds. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, let me just.
It's in our team chat.
Character cannot speak. Oh no, this worm is going to lose the debate challenge. Not see, imposing a complication on attempts to hit a target. It already doesn't have eyes. Or not hear. So I'll say that it obstructs with its like echolocation or its blind sense that it has. So you know it's a worm, so I'll say you knew what to apply to it. So that means,
this is
so that's going to be a moderate complication. So there are +3 complications on it from now on, just from existing.
So it's 1 for the hit, then another 2 hits. It gives me a power advantage, so I can get up to 3 power advantage.
Really?
I can spend. Yup.
Okay. Does that deal extra damage with the difference there?
It gives me enhancements if I.
How much? So it gives you. Does that give you +6 and another +6 enhancements, or just +6 hits?
Let me find it.
I believe it either gives you a plus. I think it gives a 2-point complication and a +1 enhancement to you for each difference.
Yeah, it says +2 enhancement. I got
it backwards.
+1 difficulty to the one I hit.
That's what it is. Okay, so it's so you get an extra. So you're 3 power levels up.
Yeah, so
above
it's +6 enhancement.
Okay, what do you want to spend that all into damage?
Yeah, I'll spend all that to damage, and I'll spend the last couple points I had to give it branded, which means I can track it if it tries to disappear.
No need. You just did
okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. You did 5 levels of damage with that critical. So it is going to writhe out, snaking directly at Moss and Sidian. Sidian's going to slash it, and you are going to draw back on your bow, and the chaotic magics are going to flow through you and punch down into the water. Now, did you have to roll for chaos energies here? For this, or did you not, because this is a thesis?
This is one of my magics, so I could. So you can have it feedback on me.
Yeah, let's do that. I will absolutely do that. So feedback. What book? What book is that in again? That's in what chapter is that?
I think it's under Chaos Magics. So
no, I don't see it under. I don't see it under Chaos Magics. Oh yeah, I do. It's right here. Okay, so that's gonna be. I'll say it's a moderate. Okay. That doesn't work for you, does it? No, it doesn't affect you while you're on this, so I'm gonna reroll that. Okay, so That is going to reduce the ambient chaos in the energy, as basically all the ambient chaos in the room, sorry Moss, is going to suck into your bow, and you are going to fire it down into this creature. It's going to strike it directly in the face, and I'm going to spend one of my Hurt the Mores to give it as the worm turns, as it goes into death throes. It is going to rip through the side of the cliff as it begins to tunnel around, and I want everybody, including Spike, except for Chewie, because Chewie's far enough back, to make me
Narful.
an athletics and dexterity roll. If you are on top of the cliff, I'm going to give you a moderate complication of 3. If you're in the water, I'm going to give you a moderate complication of 2. Different complications though. If you're on top, it's going to be the risk of falling in and getting crushed by rocks. If you're in the water, it's just getting crushed by rocks. All right. What do we got there,
Moderate means
fam?
how many do we need to buy off?
You need to buy off 2 if you're in the water, and 3 if you're on top.
Bought just 2.
2 total?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're one short of buying off that complication. Do you want to spend a momentum? Hey, yes, you can. You now have 6. All right, Sidian, what'd you get?
Apparently, he's in his element. I got 6.
Damn, son. And Spike.
Athletic
I
hippie.
only got 2.
Oh, is that okay? And you need 4. You can spend 2 points of momentum if you'd like.
Are we good with that? Because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm good.
You can save them and take some damage.
I am comfortable with you using 2.
What do you think, Traz? What do you want to do?
You know,
It's
I'll
just some
spend it.
water. I'm sure he can swim just fine.
You think I should fall? Let's do it.
Okay.
He's too focused on it. He was too focused on his shot.
All right.
Yeah,
So
can you buy off the rocks but take the fall?
you can buy. So I will.
Do my extra successes do anything? Or is that just my own?
So I mean, technically it's story path. So you could apply some of your successes forward to buy off his complications, so he won't get pulled down.
Double it and put it to the next person?
Yeah, I'll say that you can buy. He won't drown. How's that?
Sounds great.
Okay,
I
so
can catch him
Traz-
maybe with the extra successes. He's that athletic.
So what I'll say, here's what's going to happen, if you don't mind me narrating. You draw in fire. The worm is going to rip the top or the support out of this part of the eyelet, causing you to plunge down, Spike. The rest of them see this collapsing and push off, diving beneath the water enough that they are not crushed by the falling stones. Spike, as you start to shoot down into the water, you find yourself completely covered with moisture and vanish into the waves below. You're going to take an injury condition from having your leg wedged between a couple of rocks on the way down.
Of course.
So just one injury, not terribly much. But as you are starting to get pulled under, you're going to feel strong hands grab you around the waist and pull you out. As Sidian wraps his arms around you. Below you, you see an immense worm crumble to the ground and fall deeper in. Unless one of you wants to go try to grab that worm and harvest it. That's good eating. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna
That
throw. You know what? Can you swim? Can you swim, Spike?
Your leg doesn't hurt. Nothing hurts.
Oh,
Because of the helm. But looking down, you're going to see that you have an injury. Like your leg is like a leaking blood from a large gash just above the knee.
Oh, his boat. He's better on land anyway. I'm going after this.
Okay, so, Moss, what are you doing? Do you want to help?
I think I'm gonna help. Well, I think I'm gonna help Spike back.
Oh, Traz, I'm sorry. I didn't even realize I almost took off your leg. That's so funny.
I was not sure it was intentional.
It wasn't intentional.
Only one?
Uh,
Give it time. Let him cook.
Exactly.
Don't click my leg. The chat was already planning that, I think.
Okay, so as you are swimming under the water, you are going to see this creature is called let me just skip through the book. It is a vermi, one of the many breeds of worm, from small to the gargantuan. It's a tiny tremors. Despite the unsettling appearance, most vermiae are harmless to us. In fact, not only do vermi fertilize the soil they burrow through, they also represent the best source of food. Capture or farm some vermi and you'll earn yourself a much needed stock of protein and iron. Bigger vermi can swallow you whole and even spit you out in two should you mess with them. And the largest ones being colossal plated creatures who detest being disturbed as they dig. Still, so long as you show some respect for the world around you and its inhabitants, vermi can be lovable pets or massive parts of the environment that for once care little about eating you alive. So this thing is a blight-sized one. So they are pretty big. I guess technically, oh no, they aren't magic resistant until they're higher level. Okay, so this thing's pretty big. If you're trying to get it, I want you to make me an athletics and might roll, whoever's trying to get this thing out of the water. Unless you just want to, like, force lift this.
Oh, I'm athletics and mighting this because he's gonna turn around and be like, I got this. Put his blade in his mouth and dive into the water again.
Okay.
All right.
Moss, what are you up to while sitting? So Chewy, what are you doing?
Is Chewy aware of any of this situation at this point?
The ground just shook.
Right. So I think, is there a rope here? Do we have any on the boat?
I said most of your supplies were lost, but you can spend a momentum to have rope.
You know what? There's definitely a piece of rope that has mysteriously survived the crash that we gathered up here for some cool reason earlier.
To tie the boat back together, obviously.
Yeah. So if Chewy glances over and sees Sidian specifically give the OK symbol and then dive into the water, she's going to let out the biggest sigh, take the mushroom out of her mouth, pull out some potions from her pack, pull out the rope, go pour a bunch of goop on the rope, and use structured chaos to craft animated minion to bring the rope to life.
You're going to make a crane?
100% she's going to make a snake rope to go catch Sidian so he doesn't die.
God. Yeah, let's help Spider-Man fight the lizard. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Cranes line up. Okay, so give me your chaos roll. The ambient chaos in this room is only a 1 right now, so that's only a 1-point complication because Spike siphoned it all off.
And this one is structured, so I don't quite know what the difference is for complications and stuff there. But I know
that's right. I don't
intellect.
I think it's
So-
still
You're not
a
using
1.
the wild. You're using your own magic, right?
Is it still a 1-point
Yeah, this
complication?
is alchemy. It's transmutation.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
So enigma, and oh my gosh, I forgot how much intellect Chewy has.
So much intellect.
Dice rolling.
You're the this is why we make a good
literally
team.
1 success.
That's why we make a good team.
I do have my super cool alchemist kit, which is particularly useful and provides a +1 enhancement to an action, including using is it enigmas or esoterica for this one?
It's probably esoterica.
It's enigmas for some weird reason. Yeah.
To the relevant pool.
It adds to either of them, but I want to try to understand the rules as we go through here.
Okay.
Cool. So then I have 2.
2 successes, and you only need 1 to activate it, right?
Rope.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
All right. So, Sidian, how many successes did you get on your dive and swim roll?
7.
Why are you like this?
Because he's a witcher. God damn it.
Comes out
Well-
armorless and shirtless, holding the worm over the shoulder.
Okay. So you're gonna go to the top of the water. I'm gonna give 5 successes or 5 hits worth of enhancement to Chewy's roll because of that.
Very nice.
Sounds good.
So you can absolutely, between the two of you, wrap around that. And Moss, if you want to, you can literally just hop on the worm and ride it up, like those people that used to ride up on like steel girders.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Holding on to the rope with one.
Yeah, I'm picturing the
I
rope
assume
kind
I
of like
have
a sea snake that like wiggles around over
Oh.
to grab the thing. It's like an animated creature. Like it has it uses the standard, uses the basic minion template with a stable quality. So it's a basic minion, and it does minion stuff. But I think she's gonna follow it, chewing on a mushroom and peering over the edge, sort of concerned and slightly judgmentally towards these beans.
Now this worm is basically like if you took, let's say like, cow might have been an overstatement. Let's take three fully sized like sows. We're talking like big pigs. We're talking like you can almost wrap your arms around them if you're a fully grown adult. And it's 3 of them nose to tail. So this is about 800 pounds, maybe 1,000 pounds of this long pig worm. Between the 3 of you and Spike, your minion rope can just animate and go and pull all of this up. And as you do, Chewie, this scent is going to hit you. And looking down, you're going to see that this thing is slowly leaking blood. And it smells really appetizing. And you are really dehydrated.
Oh. Wow, free blood.
So if you consume the blood, you'll have an iron-rich rehydration.
That sounds good.
Now I'm not saying this to be a trick. I'm saying in the world below, you do things like drink animal blood to survive, because what else?
Yeah, of course,
right?
of course. Yeah, I mean, she was basically just chlorofylling on mushrooms to get whatever moisture she could out of them. Blood's got maybe a little bit more in it. We'll find out. Yeah.
All right.
Certainly less suspicion-inducing than her other option for nourishment, so...
All right. So, pulling Spike out of the water, you're going to see that there is a large gash that goes all the way down to the bone of his thigh. It's bleeding profusely, but he's walking on it like he doesn't even notice. And in fact, he may not notice how bad it is once he's out of the water.
Oh,
Spike.
you imbecile.
Spike, come here. Come here, I gotta put a salve on that. Gotta put a salve. Come on, come on, have a seat. And I pat the big jiggling, worm. This sucker here. Come on, have a seat.
I thought they smelled bad on the outside.
Oh, here it is. And if I can, good sirs, I would like to use a synthesis I have called Curative Clay.
Okay, let's do it. How does it work?
All right, Curative Clay, which I have up right here. All right, I knew my Selly powers would come in handy. You can
Your silly
extract
powers.
rare. You can extract rare alchemical ingredients from your surroundings. When you take this dust and have mixed it with water, it creates a restorative clay. When you apply clay to the wounds, it restores 1 full injury level to yourself or a target of your choosing. You can use restorative clay once per session.
That's super nice. You can just do it.
You just do it. You
Man,
restore.
I love powers where it's just like you just do it.
Isn't it? Yeah, like
Yeah.
he's a medic. He's a witcher, like you
He's
said.
a witcher.
Like, yeah, he just does it.
All right. So
Don't worry, I mixed it with my own saliva.
I don't know why I need Spike looks at their leg. I hate this helm even more. I can't even
That's
feel
because
the
you got
pain.
terrible taste.
Moss
Not
licked Spike.
convenient.
Yes,
salty.
it does have a terrible taste.
Right, I know.
Have you ever had salted lizard? It's not particularly good.
Aye, but you know what is musk? Musk keeps predators away.
I think generally things should avoid musk.
And while
It ruins
it's
everything
terrible,
it touches.
terrible, but people don't want anything to do with them. And while is not looking, like forming up, kind of setting the bone a little bit in the middle of conversation. Oh, wow, that shot you had back there when you lined it up when he came right by the surface. Oh, you didn't scream.
When you're held.
Normally people scream when... Oh, that's the helm. Right.
Very inconvenient when you don't know when you're injured.
All right, I'm gonna inspect him to see if he's got mystery injuries. Assuming he doesn't.
All right, make me a medicine and I don't know, cunning, dexterity, composure. What are you gonna use? Do you pull on the rubber gloves? Like, how does it work? and presence. All right,
Don't worry.
Spike.
I found these.
Touch your toes. Think warm thoughts.
Oh, so far, one. Let's do cunning because that's a smaller pool. Two. Just two.
All right, giving him a quick inspection, you're going to kind of poke your hands around various parts of his body. You're gonna do. He's got quite a few bruises. Well, just do reptiles bruise? Does anybody know? I realize I don't know. I mean, they have blood. I would assume that it pools under the... He's got several tender spots. How's that? He's got places that are a little warmer than others. Like there's something pooling beneath. But overall... Hello, the Onyx Path. Welcome. Thanks for the raid. Yes, they do. Thank you very much. I didn't know if lizards bruised. I don't know much about lizards, apparently. Thank you for feeding my writer brain. Okay, so checking, he's a little banged up, but you think that this wound to the leg is the only thing that is actually affecting him.
All right. And by the next time can't feel it, but it will have been healed by the time he stands. Oh, I have to find more of that clay. Oh, right.
I think now that Moss has been this close to Spike, I think they go, Spike, I didn't notice it before because you were not letting me close to you. But now that I've tricked you into closeness, you smell familiar. Do we know each other?
Yes, we have met on quite a few occasions.
Really? Did you always wear the cloak? What do you look like underneath that? And starts trying to pull your cloak off.
Yes.
Maybe me. Was it a potluck? What'd you bring?
Even asked me to read your fortune once. I can't remember what it was for.
Oh, that sounds fun. I do like to know my fortune. What was it?
Gods if I know, so long ago.
Do you do palms? Just covered in seaweed and fish guts.
Fine. Dust off the palms.
Okay. Do you have an ability for this?
No, so I looked, there is no ability, but being as my dogma's Fortuna, I can read people's fortunes. I don't know what the skill would be for that.
I heard you say my dogma is
esoterica.
for tuna.
Yes.
And I was like, you have a tuna dogma?
I mean,
Yeah.
now we know what he brought to the potlatch, so we got that covered at least. tuna salad.
I
Yeah,
thought it
those
was
sort
like
of
my
catch down here.
dog, Ma, is for tuna. Is for tuna. Like
My
pro
dog
tuna.
sat on the tuna.
No, my dog
On
would
the
eat the
moon,
tuna. Let's
in
be
my
fair.
spaghetti. I have to find that. It's somewhere in my garage.
Is reading palms like dexterity, or is it like bullshitting and it would be intellect?
I
I assume bullshit, honestly.
feel like it's empathy cunning,
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I feel empathy cunning too.
right?
Empathy to read the person before you like.
Exactly. Or
All
empathy
right.
manipulation, I suppose, depending.
So
that
if you get to
exist?
do this based on your Fortune, go ahead and make me. What do you want to roll for this? So we've got Esoterica.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
that
I could do
depends. If you're
Esoterica.
doing it for real, esoterica would make sense. But if you're doing it for
That-
bullshit,
No, probably Esoterica and Cunning. He probably uses the shadows and starts to see if you can read them.
spooky.
Spooky. I'm gonna spend a drama bomb right now.
Ooh, do it. All right. I'll roll.
So the chat is telling me that geckos don't have eyelids. Spike does, but they're borrowed from other people permanently. They're in his pocket.
He
Is that why
doesn't
they lick
have
their
them, he
eyelids?
Has them. Yeah.
You just lick them?
It's better than licking someone else's eyelids.
I know a lot of amphibians just like force their eyes into their heads rather than like actually. Yeah, exactly. They just kind of like. Bleh.
So it's
That's how
like,
frogs chew.
yeah, frogs are great.
Is that what frogs do?
Just
They
Yeah.
push the food in.
They just
with
suck their
eyeballs.
eyes into their head, right?
Wait, really?
Yep. Oh,
Yes,
100%. They use it to help swallow, and sometimes you'll see, like, especially little green tree frogs that just have massive black eyes. The whole eyes go into their heads.
They don't actually
yeah,
blink.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like
They just suck their
absorbing
eyes
things,
into their
which
head.
is kind of like blinking with extra steps in that one case.
And we all know about the Wolverine frog, so
Do we?
it's
we?
a frog that has claws that exist under its flesh that it actually like punches through its flesh to claw you.
Yes.
Like it breaks its own bones to claw you.
Classic.
Hold my
It's pretty
mushroom.
great.
Going in.
Well, my mushroom. All right, so Spike, what'd you get?
so he rolled. He got 2 hits. So they're gonna take Boss's hand, get rid of the grime on it. He'll say, "Your fate is engraved in gold." Then you'll see the shadows kind of dance in Moss's hand, and whatever the fortune is.
All right, so looking at the shadows are going to dance in your hand, and as they do, the darkness in the room is going to it's going to darken even more. The light of the purple flame behind you is going to erupt, casting darker shadows across Spike that will pitch into Moss's hand, and you're going to see the shadows coalesce in 3 dimensions for a moment on your hand. In the shadows of fleeting destinies, Moss will seek tomorrow's lost. Shall step through the veil of forgotten potentials. The path is woven in whispers, unveiling threads of forsaken futures and untold tales that beg resurrection in the tapestry of time. In the White City, you will find what is lost. End of. So you are going to see like an image of you walking through immense buildings, or let's say rectangular stalactites and stalagmites.
Is this actually stalagmites and like big stalagmites, or are they like big buildings?
They're like
moss they
they look like stalagmites to moss, but
Yes.
everyone outside will recognize these as like built structures. Right angles.
Oh wow! Those are really big rocks. They're really sharp looking. I didn't know rocks could grow so perfect.
Just gonna make sure while that's happening, whether it's real or not, he just assumes, you know, he wow. Quite a change in careers. Being a palm reader, going off to being whatever it is you do in the shadows. And make sure that like everybody seems like they've drunk or eaten enough before we continue, so that people don't like get fatigued, end up hurt, dehydrated. Like how is Chewy?
I think
And
attempting
was
to make
anyone
a
else?
sandwich out of mushrooms and a piece of worm.
There is a fire too, so technically, does it look like we're okay?
Chewy,
No?
you have gorged yourself. You have a little fat rat belly right now.
I think Chewy's going to be lying down on her back because the pack is now too heavy for her to carry, and she's now in inefficient counterbalance and just flopping like a turtle.
But you are no longer deprived. You have drank enough blood, eaten enough mushrooms and meat, and are just almost in like a protein coma.
Mm-hmm.
You have a happy rat belly.
This is still the same scene, so the rope is still active.
Rope is still active.
Then she's gonna get the rope to like feed her things and do all of the work for her, so she can just sit there and like tap her belly and be a real cozy bean.
Like feeding you grapes as you lie back and-
Exactly. But it's like, you know, like a chunk of worm that's been poorly cooked.
I'm assuming that it's also giving you like a massage. A little
Oh,
back
I mean,
rub.
of course. It's like a sea snake rope. You gotta do
Is it
that.
helping you chew? Like,
It's not quite that cool. No, I mean, being named Chewy, she's a pretty big fan of chewing stuff. So
plus
she's
you
gotta do
got to
that
chew stuff,
herself.
or else your teeth
it's
will
the
overgrow.
tender, exactly. Yeah, it's the tender personal touch of food consumption that she wants to be known for.
Okay. All right. So you all gather around the giant worm, mushroom, and seaweed feast that you have before you, draining its liquids and distilling whatever water you can from the surrounding with your immense survival rolls. And as you do so, all of you are going to regenerate any sustenance that you need. And as you are resting and recuperating, you're going to notice that the walls are becoming slicker. The sweat, for those of you capable of sweating, is coming a bit faster, and a haze is rising off the water as the temperature rises a bit in this chamber. To an uncomfortable degree, you feel like frogs at the bottom of a cooking pot. And I think that's where we should take a quick break. So, folks,
boil
Sounds
alive!
good to me.
Boiled alive! Don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to take a quick bio. We'll be back in 5. Bye. Hello, folks. Welcome back. This is the part of the program where we're going to talk to the chat for like 2 minutes, and then we're going to go back into game. So, hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. This is a great moment. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm very sleepy. It's been a long day. I feel that. No, I worked. I had a revelation. I always have this revelation, then I forget. But I was doing a stream of Planescape Torment earlier today because we have our Planescape game that's starting on the 19th. And I'm like, I don't know anything about Planescape. And I don't think reading the book's going to give me the vibe. So I'm going to play the video game. I'm going to pull as much of that aesthetic out of it into my brain so I remember it. Much like Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, totally just decided. I've been playing Vampire for years at that point. It still feels more like Bloodlines now than the original Vampire in my head. So I was playing that and I was chatting with the chat and I'm like, yeah, I'm real tired. I think my problem is I don't count the time I stream as the time I'm actually working. So I put in an 8-hour day and then I stream. And then I do stuff out. I'm like, so I'm doing like 13-hour days as well. And I'm like, oh, that explains why I'm so tired. Because I also have to run the damn games. That's why like Strixhaven was so nice, because it was like, oh, I just got to be me. I mean, I gotta be Kai, but like it's less work. Like I'll do some of your music
like,
for.
Yeah, you got to be this like specific twist on you.
By the way, if you didn't watch the end of season 3 of Strixhaven, what are you doing with your life? That episode was great.
Oh my god, it was so good.
Yep.
Yeah, if you're not if you're not a patron,
why aren't you a patron?
Why not go do
Join
it?
the Patreon.
But otherwise, yeah, I'm very excited for people to watch it. Not behind the paywall, but yeah.
It'll be good when it comes up. The other problem that we have is that we ended up doing so much stuff for the Patreon that I run a stupid amount of games, like a ridiculous amount of games that are open source. And then we have all these ones that they're on a cooldown timer on Patreon, right? But it means that the cooldown time's getting a lot longer by accident, because I don't have any nights where I can sit and monitor a stream. Or like it'll be like, oh, I guess I have a free night now. I could do a rebroadcast of Strixhaven that hasn't aired publicly, or I could go see a movie or spend time with a partner, right? Like I think I'm gonna take a night off for me on my night off, because apparently people are supposed to get a couple of those a week.
I hear that those are pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I really do appreciate all the time that you folks, because I know like Krista, you're working extra. Like Bunny, you're chronically online. Cal, you've got all your projects. It's 1 a.m. and I'm a
goober, but I am determined.
Is it 1 a.m. right now?
Well, 10 to.
Okay, we'll be out of here by 2 o'clock for you, for sure.
I mean that's the scheduled game time, but I'm here because I adore y'all, and this game seems fun, and I am a being of determination more than I'm a being of responsibility.
What a mood.
And are we good so next week? Millie and I are getting together for
should be good. Yeah,
cool. So we have Star Trek Lower Dorks next Monday, by the way, just a reminder, at 10 a.m. Pacific over on the Patreon. And also Millie and I are getting together at like 8 o'clock in the morning for me to record our podcast episode, which is going to be probably wild. We're probably just going to talk about stupid lefty stuff. It's going to be great.
I'm honestly really excited. I didn't even know we were going to talk about lefty stuff. All right. Do you want to learn about Luxembourgism? Let's go.
Kind of. Is that where you like go to war and make a friend?
A little bit, but you got councils and communism about it.
God, you lost me at councils. I didn't even make it to the communism. I've been on too many board meetings and like panels where I've had to take minutes in my time back when I did politics. Oh God. I'm a former politician. How is this a thing? I have so many dumb.
I'm literally taking a course tomorrow on leadership and how to like run organizations.
Oh no!
Sorry, being ambushed by a cough. So I'm a little muted at the moment. 1 sec.
Like, no, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I talk about stuff and I can be like, oh, back when I was a professor.
Yeah.
I'm going to say professor. Technically, it was legally an instructorship, but I was teaching at a university, which means I was I was teaching at a college, which means I was a professor, damn it. Like Snape or Dumbledore.
That's right.
I was also the most popular teacher in my department.
Ooh.
And
you were in a department with some popular people.
I really was. There were some really, but like I was everybody's favorite because I treated every lecture like a stand-up routine. And it was hilarious and good. And I love it. And I miss it. And it didn't pay very much at all. College, I had like max.
That sounds about right.
So when they were doing my pay grades, like I came in at the A+ pay grade because of work experience. Because they're like, oh, you don't have as much teaching experience. Oh, that's not true. No, I had all my TA experience, and then I had all my instruction in Japan experience, and that. So I came in at the highest pay grade, and it was still like 26 an hour or something like that to be a college professor. Like what?
Yikes.
I will say, yeah, it was great. I also just sat in the office and drank coffee and did work for other things too, so it was pretty nice. Yeah, Chris is just a black and white picture. I know, it's such a lifelike picture, though. I keep thinking it's almost like I can feel him with us.
Mm-hmm.
Feel his presence.
I
Hold on.
definitely feel like he's a little plaque at his memorial for the moment. It's like the best picture of him we could find down here in the cavern.
Exactly.
And we're just remembering him. Yeah,
Hold on, I can do
Earthar
this.
is
We
still
can.
with us in our hearts, and also possibly in some kind of other dimension.
And
Probably
if
another
I-
dimension. Let's be fair.
If I do this, then he's a force ghost.
Spooky.
Amazing. Okay, but because of the light, because of the dynamic background, at first I thought his eyes started moving, and I was like, "What have you done? Stop it!"
I literally just I had Chris join the call just for that.
Yeah.
Should I leave it like that?
1920s. Yeah.
Should I leave?
Sure.
Should
Yeah.
I desaturate him?
Nah.
I feel like the glowing eyes are kind of spooky and weird. Why not
is.
go for it? We're in like a giant, terrifying underground nonsense environment. Why not?
Right?
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna raise the contrast. I'm gonna lower the contrast a little. There, that's better.
While you're doing that, Trog said they didn't understand what was happening with my hat, and so I thought I would give you a hat tour. So this hat has
Pimp my
ear
hat.
flaps, and it is made with fleece on the inside,
Oh
and
my
it
God.
is llama wool, and it's very cozy, and I got it at UVic. But it essentially has like a kind of like mohawk thing here. If you can kind of see what's going on. And is very delightful. And I have since made one of these for my brother. And so they are surprisingly easy to make if you have any ability to knit or crochet. And then this is actually like a little like toggle thingy that looks like leaves that my girlfriend made me.
Bop it.
And so I thought I would add that in. And I'm glad that it isn't totally disappearing in the green screen because it's such a dark green.
No, I've got it. I've got to
and
keep pretty
then-
light.
And then I have many stones tied with yarn,
Ooh. Tied with
And-
yarn.
little like
Yarn.
arrowheads,
Yarn.
Yorn.
and then a
Yarn
bunch
and
of
starn.
little earrings and
Oh,
little
sword.
danglies and
Sword.
sword, and some little jars.
Oh, little jars. Was there like little moss or little stones in them?
Yeah, one has sea glass in it. This one.
Yeah. Oh,
then
green
this
and black.
one's
Yeah.
got like a little flower thing, and this one's got little bits of stone in it.
Look at all the
There's a bunch of
shinies.
So many shinies. And then here I have a couple of keys, and then a bunch of pins with my stabby mushroom and my cat
It is a
flower.
stabby mushroom.
It's very stabby mushroom. And then some spiders
Spider.
Spider.
and a locket.
Nice.
Hmm.
Don't think there's anything in it though. Is there? No, it is empty.
Nice. All right. So,
I love
folks,
the hat tour. I wanted to ask where the guest room was. Like, is there a watch?
2.5 bath. Yeah.
one has a bidet. Don't ask which one.
the bath?
May I tell a very funny bidet story?
You may.
It has nothing
Thank
to do
you.
with experience with a bidet. So I work for a school district, and we do this thing called Remedy, which essentially is like the government made a deal with all the teachers that they would only have a maximum number of students and a maximum number of students that are like that have an identification and a learning plan. So students that have some kind of mental or physical disability or such. So they're only allowed to have so many of those people in their class. Obviously, that never happens, and they always have too many students in their class. So they get paid out basically for this amount, but they don't get paid out. They're given funding for their classrooms or for the school at large. So some of them will do field trips for the school. Some of them will buy, a cricket machine to make cool stuff and things, lots of fun stuff. Mostly it's school supplies. But apparently a teacher requested to purchase a bidet to put in the staff washroom with their Remedy funds.
Did they get it?
They did not. I kind of wish they had, but it's technically supposed to be for student use, and I'm pretty sure they were an elementary school teacher. And I was like, there's no way an elementary kid in
It's using a
in
bidet.
the Western world is going to know how to use a
Has
bidet.
everybody here used a bidet before?
Yes.
Yeah, because they're big in Japan. And when I lived in Japan for a year, a lot of the toilets have the bidet function. And you know that I'm going to push that button.
As you do.
It is an
I'm
experience.
envious. I'm envious, actually. I've never used one.
I highly
either.
recommend them.
They're really
Once I have my own
convenient.
place, I'll have one. Yeah.
They're great,
Yeah.
but it takes getting used to, because it's definitely like, you ever see one of those fountains
know,
with
I would
the
love
little cupids going woo, and like it's it's like one of those shooting warm water at your butt.
Yeah.
I want
Usually
that.
warm, sometimes not.
Well, I
if
mean,
it's not hooked up right, it's very cold.
It's Japan. They're always the right temperature. Toilet technology. I keep seeing that meme that's like, it's a shame that Japan doesn't have any good Mexican food, but they have the world's most advanced toilets. What's the point of having a race car if you don't take it to the track?
Cripes.
They have a point.
Good lord.
They have a point. All right, talking about being in deep shit, I think it's about time for us to head back into game.
It's time for us to cultivate some mushrooms.
Yeah. I could have dung beetles show up. So a couple things before we begin. Another thank you to Onyx Path. If you are looking at this game and you're like, wow, this game's actually pretty cool. I want to get this game. I want to get it. You can go right here to the world below and you can back it. The backer kit is still up. They have how many days left on this? They've got 5 days left. And they have almost 800 backers. They're actually just about to hit another backer goal, I believe they were saying today. It gives you more art, gives you more cool stuff. You get to learn about the haemexii again, which I pronounced wrong. I think I called them the Tex-Mexii before. Same thing. It's got some great art from one of the artists that was in Wraith the Oblivion, like the original one, like the really creepy pencil art, or like ink, like black and white pen art is in it. It's just a super cool book, guys. So if you would go back that would be awesome for us. Just because we're sending more people there, that's always good. We don't get a commission from sending people over, but if you like what we're doing, go back it and help this type of product happen, because not everybody, like Onyx Path is a good sized publisher of RPG books, but they're not like, they don't have the backing of like Hasbro. So every time that something like this succeeds, it is a major win for small publishing and like role-playing creativity, and it helps the hobby not just be Dungeons and Dragons. There's nothing wrong with D&D. I love me some D&D, but I also love playing the other games that Onyx Path does and that other companies like the Onyx Path does. So please go support them if you can. That said, we have a couple of cool things that are coming. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of the next week for us so that you know what's happening. Tomorrow night, I'm doing an off-stream recording of Hunter the Vigil Summons as we find out what's going on with certain family members across the board, actually. It's going to be an exciting time as we finally delve further back into that after an extended hiatus. Then on Saturday, I'm taking a day off. Sunday, I am doing a double feature, so you can come and enjoy with us on Sunday for an episode of Dreams of Arcos that is called, it's episode 9, The Queens of Light and Darkness, or The Queens of Darkness and Light, that's what it is. Which is them in the Feywild with some very familiar faces. It's going to be very... Oh, Christa, you didn't hear about that because you're not in that game.
Fine.
They went to the Feywild and they are going to meet with Oberon and Titania. And as they're meeting there's a huge party being thrown with a giant carnival outside of it. And it is confirmed the Witchlight Carnival. So you might want to tune into that if you got some free time. It might be fun. I think you might like. I
played Young Isaac the other day.
You did. And then on Sunday night, if you're over on Patreon, you get to watch us return triumphantly to Mage the Ascension Technocracy Zero Sum, where I get to play once more my boy Nolan, who is just the worst parts of my ADHD. It's just great. Monday is, of course, Phandelver and Below as they continue on their quest, which that game has just been nonstop RP. Like now we kind of have gotten over the hump of like mission questing, and now it's just RP and it's great. There was so much gay stuff in last episode. It was great. It was great. We got that romance started. We've got weird hands coming out of the walls. It's great. Tuesday is there's going to be a switch up, actually. So Tuesday originally was going to be the Shards of Nirn, as per usual. but we had a schedule conflict. So what's happening is we're not going to be broadcasting live on Tuesday night. Instead, I have got my crew together and we're going to be recording another episode of Old Gods of Appalachia because our original date got bumped. But that means that Shards is actually going to be recording on Strixhaven Tuesday the following week. So you're going to get Shards of Nirn and then Shards of Nirn the next week. So double Shards, which is great because that gives me more time to come up with all of the dumb stats that I need for White Hand's army, because it's an army game, guys. We haven't had one of those in 3.5 years. And then we got Dragonlance, and then I think I'm taking the next Thursday. Nope, next Thursday is World Below. I am running a lot of games, so please join the Patreon. That's all I gotta say. Oh boy. All right. All right, it's 9 o'clock. Let's head back in right now with The World Below, Down in the Deep. The sound of dripping water is all around you as you complete your rest. The walls are sweating. They are slick and glistening in the purple light. Each of you is full and is going to be... you are actually full enough that the next time I make you make a test for anything involving satiation or a deprivation of any type, you're going to have an automatic enhancement. So you are stuffed. Okay? Now with that, you see that it is growing hotter in here. What do you do?
Before it gets too humid, I'm gonna make a torch out of the fire. We might need. There might be natural ups and downs, which is why the lichen and the slimes grow so fast here. It's about time if everybody feels good, about time we check out the spooky tavern, the ruins. Spooky tavern. I meant to say cavern.
Gonna tap on
and
the side of your
ruins,
mushroom
and I said
head.
tavern.
I'm excited.
It's a temple cavern.
It's a temple cavern. It's a tavern.
Well, we don't know that it's a temple yet.
If I reach up with a spare chunk of boat towards the purple fire, would it light it up, or is it?
You pass through it, and it does transfer to the wood. However, as you pass it back over, you're going to notice something very strange. It's not giving off heat. In fact, as you hold your hand up to it, your fingers are going to come back stiff and cold.
Oh.
What is it?
This. I've never seen this before. Does it seem like magically painful or just like kind of cold?
It does not seem like it is more magical than that it is cold burning fire. But it is not comfortable to hold, and you can feel it start to radiate cold through the length of wood.
This is cold fire.
Huh. Well, I don't think even I've seen anything like that before.
I'll give that kind of makeshift torch to someone else if they want to investigate it or check
Chewy
it out.
excitedly
but
will. If you look like you're gonna hand it to anyone, it's being taken by a mouse.
not for me. And I'll just take the normal fire. And oh man, I don't know what everyone else's might is, but I want to haul as much the lichens and stuff we can leave, but I want to take as much of this worm as I can. with
I'll
us.
say you took several hours of resting just to catch your breath and things like that. So the better part of a shift, some of you could have even napped during it. You can butcher most of the worm, break it down to its component parts, and maybe even do a bit of salt brining with some of the salt water down there.
As we're kind of getting ready to sort ourselves, I think this is like one of the farthest places that Moss has ever been, and they're starting to feel a little lost as they're just kind of sitting in the darkness. I have a sorcery that's orienteering,
Okay.
and so I can navigate by the well, so I can just like, I'm like a compass towards the well. Can I like sense if we're like wicked far away, or are we moving away from it? Like, is this temple in the opposite direction of the well?
Is it automatic, or do you have to roll for it?
I roll esoterica and intelligence.
Give me that roll then.
Okay. Esoterica, intelligence. 1, 2, 2.
You are closer to the well than Yorble.
Oh.
Than Yorble. Not by much. Maybe a couple city blocks distance. Like, it just feels slightly warmer. However, as you look into the temple, as you look at it, it's, for a second, you think that you're looking at something that is much closer to the well. But then it's wrong. It's not the abyss by any stretch. But there's something in front of you that's kind of hazy. It's like a mirage. This feeling is like vaporous, like gasoline rising off the sidewalk. There's something strange about the aura ahead of you that feels not unlike the well, but distinctly different.
This is not a good place to be. Are we like on the steps of the temple at this point?
You're getting close to the steps, yeah. If you want to head up in, you can.
Are there any like little broken bits like on the
stone?
ground?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll find that one of the steps
like...
has been like kind of cleaved away by climbing boots.
Okay. I'd like to use my other sorcery that Chris very helpfully described as a medium range yoink. But it's called Filch. And so it allows, it's essentially mage hand, but just like I pull it to make me.
All right, go ahead.
That's Esoterica and Dex, which is the same pool. Ooh, that's that one's cocked. That's 5.
All right. How do you want to spend those extra hits? So you were aiming at a rock, or are you going to grab a rock with that?
Can I grab a rock, but like put the bonuses forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're going to pick out something about the size of a brick, like a broken bit of moss-covered stone that's kind of half cropped up, half kind of like leaning against one of the stones, and are going to like lift it, float it, and fire it into the temple?
Into my hands.
Okay, so...
Yeah. I just want a chance to like kind of interact with it before we enter the temple.
Okay.
And I just want to see if I can sense any more about like what's wrong about it.
How would you do that?
Licking it mostly.
Licking it mostly? Okay. Make me
I'm trying to think of if I have anything. Is there wild chaos around?
It is one level of ambient wild chaos around.
Okay. In that case, I think she's just not knowing what they're doing and is just gonna and just take the entire brick size thing in their mouth. Because I have Body of Chaos, which gives me +3 to wild chaos.
Okay, so add +1 to that as well for the enhancement you get from the chaos ambience.
Okay, so may I use Esoterica and Cunning?
Okay, so roll your Esoterica and Cunning and add 4 enhancement to the end.
Beautiful. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9.
Holy crap. Okay, so what are you asking for? Like, what are you using to do this? So you're reaching out with wild magic?
Yeah, essentially I'm trying to like, because like I have this sense that it's akin to the well, and so I'm trying to like taste if it's like what kind of way it's off. Is this something that is like the well, or is it something that had the touch of the well but is now tainted?
So you are tasting it. The feeling in your mouth is like cotton candy. These clouds that dissolve on your tongue. It's like biting mist out of the air. And as you are tasting it, you are getting these flashes of sweet and airy. And with that esoterica roll, I'll say that's part of your roll to kind of like figure out what it tastes like. It's not the abyss, it's not corrupted, but you are tasting a different form of chaos. You've heard stories about this before. The Obscura. Another element of reality, a place of CH chaos. A place of randomness and dreams. The closest representation for us would be to say like the Fey realm or the astral realm or something like that. This place is touched by the Obscura. So much so that it's even bled into the very steps of the temple.
Okay, I might have been wrong. This might be a very good, well, maybe not good, might be interesting. Interesting is a good word.
The Obscura, just so you are aware with that roll, is a very dangerous thing. Some people go into it and never come out. Some people come out with the most fantastic stories you've ever heard in your life.
I think Moss wants a story. Should we go? I think Ursar's in there.
Spike, you said you sniffed around. There was signs of a human and a Darv.
Yes.
Do you know if that human's Earthar?
You're not sure. You don't think so with the roll that you had, Spike, but maybe?
It's possible, but it was unclear from the distance.
Well,
was it just a
there's
sense
only one way to
smell?
find out.
Or was it like a tracking thing you did, Spike?
Let me read exactly what it does. Hold on.
You did as a tracking thing.
Yeah.
Like I think Kelly mentioned footsteps from like spelunking gear and like boots that had like
like the
weared away on the
iron
stones.
spiked caving
Mhm.
shoes.
Yeah.
I can't remember what you rolled on that, but like, would you be able to tell if somebody had a limp based on how they were like walking? If someone was helping someone like injured, or did you?
He was
enough
using
to
his
just-
sense of smell, so he wouldn't be able to tell the limp.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think the cold fire would do us any good to bring along?
Chewie is trying to figure out how to break off a piece to put into a little glass jar with the wood, just to see what happens.
Oh, like
We'll look up
with
at you and
with the
shrug.
stopper?
You do so, and it continues to burn and burn and burn. You count out when the oxygen should have been depleted. The flame hasn't dimmed at all.
She's gonna chitter very excitedly and hold it up in front of her and sort of do a little spin around in a circle. Woo!
You can add that to your inventory as ever-burning lamp.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I'll put it in my silly trinkets list.
Add it. So I want you to give it the tag bright and the negative tag fragile.
Okay, sounds good. So plus bright, minus fragile.
And
cool.
you can add the ambiguous tag dangerous AF.
Sounds good. Dangerous elf feet. I understand.
Yeah, dangerous elf.
Dangerous
feet.
elf.
Yeah.
Dangerous elf.
Yeah, it's only good for use on cats.
All right. Sounds like we're going in.
And Moss is off like a shot.
Okay.
And there they go.
Don't go too far ahead. Without a light. I'm gonna hand Moss the ever-burning vial.
I'll grab it, but Bellows will like climb up on their head and like go aflame and look very angry at the light, like their position has been taken.
Oh, right.
I think I'm okay, but thank you.
Okay, be safe.
Mhm.
Gonna tap you on the head as if you're wearing a helmet.
All right.
In the fire of the
Yeah,
wizard.
just bonk, bonk. Mm.
Up we go.
So you press into the front. Now the massive front entrance is about 30 feet wide of ancient carved stone that's been eroded by seawater. A canopy of fungal strings, mycelian strands, hangs in front of the temple's entranceway like a beaded curtain. You push through it, sometimes little snotty chunks of the stuff clinging to you and breaking off. In fact, the first 20 feet of the temple is nothing but these mycelian strands. You push through them. The corridor ahead of you. Can I get everyone who's going through here who is interested? If you're looking at the walls through here, they're very eroded, but the further in you go, the more you can start to see that along this long length of corridor, which is about 60 feet long, about 20 to 30 feet of that is covered with these mycelian strands before they start to get thin enough that you can actually just not worry about brushing up against them. The walls are lined with ancient tiled mosaics. If you want to investigate them, you can make a culture roll.
Oh yeah. 100%, yes.
Yep.
Looking at the cool things.
And intellect?
Yeah, maybe intellect or yeah, okay.
Can I?
If you don't have culture,
If you don't have culture, you can make a roll at I'll give you a complication of 1 to drastically misinterpret it.
cool.
While they're
2.
doing that,
I have 2 as well.
Okay.
Sidian's not a person of a culture. They're a person of the wild. Speaking of which,
Mhm.
I have a momentum generator of discover an unexplored cavern fit for temporary or permanent habitation.
Boom, 1 point of momentum. Does anybody else have one? So Spike, you do not have enough to buy off the complication, so you just have the hit. If you want, you can actually you can't because you got a success. So Spike, I'll describe some things, and I want you to find something about this that offends you. Okay? So that is the complication.
Okay.
You're going to look at this and find it very offensive to your sensibilities as we are going through. So Sidian, you're up to 7 momentum, everybody. So looking at the walls here, you are going to see that this mosaic is very eroded, but with 2 successes, or 2 hits, that's just enough to start piecing it out. Along the left side wall, you are going to see a mosaic that depicts the world above. It's a fairy tale of the world above, that shows a prosperous Renaissance style society in rough depiction. Simple drawings of buildings, like actually structures like the one that was shown on Spike's hand. Not quite as advanced or angular as the ones in the prophecy that he gave you, but you'll see what almost makes you think of the well growing hotter and brighter overhead until it burns away all of the surface, and you see humans and darves and elves tunnel down below. On the rightmost side of the tunnel, you will see that it shows an exodus. It shows the enslavement of Spike's people. It shows how the humans and darves and elves made their way below when whatever happened topside happened. And it shows them conquering the creatures that existed below, the haemexii, and also Spike's people. They're all lumped together as creatures of the deep. And it shows them eking out a life for themselves by upsetting the balance of these indigenous societies. Now, you're not sure if this is accurate or not, but
Is there anything about the hobgobs?
no, there's not at all. Which might bother you quite a bit.
You
I
didn't
think
direct me to find
cool
something that I was
rodent
offended
beans.
by, but I am offended by that.
There
Yeah, what about
are
rodents?
there are some rodents pictured, but they're only pictured as rodents.
Eh. Everyone else is kind of weird, so that's fine.
Okay.
Oh wait, don't your people they start out small and on all fours? So were just the baby versions.
Mm-hmm.
So Spike's just gonna go. Damn worshippers.
Are all of you offended by the mural? I haven't even glanced at it. I've been looking at the picture and the like it.
Spike is
I
very offended.
think
And if
she
I
was
learn
mostly
lore, I
just-
get a momentum.
Academically curious.
I think when Spike says "damn well worshippers," Moss goes, "Hey, that's me too.
And
Just because I'm not on this stupid picture doesn't mean I'm not a well worshipper." Well,
City
really
worshippers enslaved us.
important. Not us. We came down here out of our own accord. Well,
Sidian, you take a step forward, pushing through some of the mycelium strands that are hanging from the roof. And as you do, you take a step to the side because you feel them start to give up ahead. And a canopy of slime drops to the ground next to you, revealing a huge mural on the ceiling above you where the chamber begins to open. It's kind of shaped like a light bulb here, kind of expanding out. And you will see a third mural placed above the rest that both of the other murals feed into, and you will see that at the edge of the murals, a lot of the figures were doing like this type of like leaning, proselytizing gesture, and you will see a mural of the well on the ceiling, and a figure in gold and black robes, the only bit of gold that has it's a mural made of gold and onyx hammered into the ceiling that has stood the warping of time. And you see all of these creatures worshiping this robed individual whose face is carved beauteously out of a thick golden mask with rivets along the side, almost similar to, I'd say like almost, for those who would know, the angular form and circles of like an Aztec type of art style for the mask. And anyone looking at that can make me an esoterica and intelligence roll.
Or intellect. Let's go.
Intellect, pardon me. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. All right. Finally got a good roll here.
Have fun with that, you magical creeps.
Yeah, I got 5.
I got 2.
Yeah,
I
I
got
have
2
5
tens
plus
and
an
a 9.
enhancement, so I have 6.
Ooh, boy.
I think Moth is, having seen this, and probably the reason they don't roll very well is they drop to their knees and like essentially bow to this thing.
Okay, and Sidian, are you rolling, or are you just kind of keeping an eye out?
Keeping an eye out. Let the ruin architects do their thing.
How many hits did you get there, Moss?
Sorry, forgot my name is Moss. 2.
Yeah. 2. Looking at this, 2 is enough. You're going to recognize that is a well lich.
Hot diggity.
Everyone
And
else.
just for the audience, because I know fully what a well lich is.
So you totally do. I know you absolutely do. The well is the center of all magic and life inside of the world below. Think of it as like the molten core of the planet, but magic. And the closer you get to this, the more it radiates chaos energy and magic. Well liches are great beings. Think like Sauron. Think like ancient wizards of power, the Lich from Adventure Time, creatures that were perhaps once human and are basically like antediluvians from Vampire. They have gone down there, they have seized a portion of the well, and according to some myths, the only reason that you have sorceries is because they deign to allow them to flow upwards. They are the creators of magic.
Oh,
and that is
down.
Spike and Chewy, you are going to recognize not only that is a well lich, you recognize from the depictions of gold, most well liches have entire domains. Most well liches have quite a bit of lore. This is Montauk the Dreaming. An ancient conqueror who has not been heard of in hundreds of, well, in generations at least, I would say. Probably 5 generations of your folk, Chewy. But was known for enslavement, was known for mind control, was known for being able to enter the dreams of the sleeping. Spike, your people have a particular hatred of Montauk because of his genocidal feelings toward your people. He thought them lesser beings. So you are absolutely...
This is probably bad.
Yes.
Shall we?
Might want to... Let's find the survivors. I do not like this place.
While the others were looking at the cool paintings, I'm going to use a synthesis called Fungal Communion.
Okay.
Spending some time mentally conversing with primitive fungi, molds, and slimes from a location, you can use a reflexive action to glean 2 pieces of valuable information on where the surrounding cracks and caves go, how the tunnels connect, if they're stepped on, etc.
So basically it's direction sense?
I think that's what I'm gleaning from this. And it says roll a leadership or survival action with a minor complication.
Okay.
And on success, the story guide provides you with 2 facts about the area.
That sounds great.
And if you can't buy off the complication, then the story guide may provide a deliberate falsehood.
Please do that.
But you don't know which of the 2 is a lie.
That sounds great. I love it when they do stuff like that. Let's do it.
I kind of like that.
So
I had to
touching
take fungal communion.
You have to. There's a lot of really cool stuff in this book, guys. You should back
There's
it.
too much. Oh, there's so much fungus stuff, and I wanted it all. All right. Survival and what the heck is communing with fungus? Composure?
Composure?
Yeah, let's go composure.
Presence? Hey, I'm a
Or
fun guy
presence.
too. I'll do presence. Presence is fine. You're
okay.
communicating, so that makes sense.
All right,
You just have to
presence.
slowly form yourself into a mushroom.
That's what I've been doing while y'all have been looking at culture. I've just been Homer Simpson
different
like
kind of
into the bushes, or into the mycelium. Oh, that's not good so far. Oh, those last 2 dice rolled 2 10s, so 4. How much
4.
is a minor complication?
Just one.
Okay, so I can.
So you
I did it.
so what you are going to gather is that there are only a few more chambers ahead. And what can this give you? So it gives you I guess it gives you like a floor layout. So you'll know which ways are dead ends up ahead. And you will know that
Any weird pits that they might grow into, or cracks or crevices?
yes,
It can only give me limited information, but if they can
The-
prevent me from walking into a trap.
some
that
of
might
the
help.
floors ahead are very badly damaged. In fact, in the next couple of chambers, you'd say, the floors are particularly weak.
Why are you on the ground, Moss? I don't know why I went from Irish to Scottish there. Moss, why are you on the ground?
It's what happens when you communicate with fungi. You come back. like this.
Sorry.
You pick up their accent. Fungi all sound like Sean Connery. Ah, yes,
There
the
you
next
go.
chamber's floor is kind of weak. Much like your basketball game. It's weak sauce. Punch the keys, for God's sake.
Sorry.
Now, dog.
Moss is on the ground, and without looking up, will go, "This is clearly a temple to the well lich, as you can see up here. So I must remain prostrate."
Are you talking about the well lichen?
The lich.
Pronounced lichen.
Lich. No, it's
No,
lich.
lichen.
Lich.
No, moss. Moss.
No,
Moss.
I'm Moss. That's lichen. That's a lich.
What? The
Today
pretty
we've
colors?
talked about this. Only you think it's pronounced lichen.
It's not lichen.
It's a Moss, you're just like prostrate on the ground, right?
Sandwich.
I have no dots in culture, so this is all you
Okay.
guys.
Can Chewie just attempt to drag Moss across the floor as she
I
stomps further
Spike
onwards
can
into
pick
the
up
thing?
moss.
Okay.
They're
That's
big
probably
enough to
better than
pick up
Chewie's
moss.
one might.
All right.
Just picks them up.
Torch
They
still going?
remain in the exact same position, like as if they are kneeling.
Looking
You're
at
just
them going,
planking.
Would you say then the normal kind of fire as it's burning down the stalk? Would I still have the torch? Not the,
The tor-
cold fire,
The
but
normal
the one?
fire is still lit. You're gonna have a scene with it.
I'm gonna go forward and kind of put up my hand. The network said that there's a lot of growth underneath the next chambers. The floor is really weak. What to do with that information? I'll leave it in the hands of all of us, but Spike, can you follow your nose and tell us what direction they went in?
And Spike will start sniffing while holding the hobgob in his hand.
You smell mostly hobgob, but
What
keep
did-
going.
Did you say something before, Traz? I didn't hear you. I feel like you said something as you picked me up, but maybe I was wrong.
No, just I
Please?
will pick you up, and they just kind of look at you, shaking their head.
Moss doesn't notice. Sniff, sniff, sniff. Sniff,
All right,
sniff.
so what am I rolling, Kelly? Is it survival and cunning?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
So that's 2 hits.
2 hits. Up ahead, you can see that the area that you're in is this long 60-foot wide passageway that begins to branch out into a circle, right? Kind of light bulb shaped, or like a key, like a long key. And from here, there are 2 passageways that arc off in a V at the edge of it. Left. You see some signs of... There's a little bit of blood along the bare wall there. Just a little bit, a finger's width. It smells Darvish.
One of the Darves is injured. You should proceed, then go to the left.
The archway to the left has ancient eroded mosaics along, probably not mosaics, but tiling along the archway with intricate patterning on the inside, inlaid with precious, well, once precious stones. Now they're pretty to look at, I suppose, but the old citrines that are mixed in with the various tiles are probably not as important to you as finding your friend. Just beyond, there is a large room, rectangular, with a cylindrical roof. The floor is cracked, and you can see that there are layers of fungus crisscrossing over it in a carpet. It's about 30 feet to the other side of the room, and you can see the remnants of a campsite in the next room beyond.
I think this is where it was weak. All the cracks in the airflow is in this chamber. But Spike, are the ones we following? Are you sure they went down there?
That's what I smell.
You could smell.
And can we see the next chamber?
You can see just barely into it, and you can see the remnants of a campfire.
There was a camp.
Well, if they got across, then it should be fine.
If they got across and lit a fire, then I'm sure it's all right.
Well, hold on 1 second. Are there any like large chunks of like stone or any equipment or old gear around here?
No, not on
Anything
this
heavy?
side. Well, unless you spend momentum. You can dictate there is.
All right. Because I was thinking of throwing something.
Yeah.
Throwing
You got
something,
7.
like- all right. Yeah. How much is it?
We
to-
also have a hobgob.
You also have a hobgob. You just throw the hobgob.
Can tie a rope to them.
I can also
Oh.
tie a rope to an arrow.
We have
and
rope?
shoot it.
Wait,
We have
Moss,
rope?
are you still hanging onto that big piece of rock that you were licking?
Yes.
Okay, well, you have a hob with a rock.
Is it still in?
All
I imagine you have cheeks like a hamster because you said you just put the whole thing in your mouth comically.
Oh,
Oh. Oh, can I borrow that? I promise I'll give it right back.
It oozes out into your hand with like viscous slime clinging to it.
How did
Whoa.
this is wider than your head? Where did this? No, I don't understand the hobgobs. I'm gonna throw it into what I think looks kind of like the weakest area.
And it is going to crash and sail through. 1, 2, 3. Splash crack. as it hits something that is probably about a foot of water. But you hear
Moss
it hit
looks
the ground.
sadly over the side.
You can see there's a collapsed cavern beneath.
Oh, how do we get across this?
How big's the gap?
About 30 feet.
Is there a place I could tie rope to an arrow and shoot it? Have the arrow stick?
Looking across, you can see that there is a large ringed notch hanging above the far chamber door. And actually, there's some scratching along it, as if something had attached to it before.
How the heck did they get
some
across?
rope?
Were you gonna lasso the air?
And tie
Again,
it
did we
to
bring
one of
that
my
rope from earlier?
arrows.
Oh yeah, you
Chewie
have
would
your
have liked
rope.
to have carried
You do
it,
have that
but she
rope.
doesn't really have a lot of carrying capacity.
I've got a lot of carrying. Well, that's why you bring me.
Exactly, yeah.
That's why we're great friends. I always
As
end
you're-
up carrying a part.
As you're setting up the shop, or the shot, can I get everyone to please make me an athletics roll?
Athletics and...
Technically, so how do rolls work here if you don't have them?
Let's say
Oh,
it's
no.
dexterity and a complication of 1.
Sounds great.
Okay, so I might have to catch my rat friend here.
You might have to.
Cool. So I got 1.
Okay.
May I send Bellows across to like confirm that it's tied up? Because like he's just a little guy.
He's just a little guy.
So he's not gonna put a lot of weight on it. He's just a little guy.
You said he's made of spider, so I'm assuming he can climb on walls.
Precisely, yes. So if he'll go over and just make sure that
So-
the rope is actually secure.
Okay, so hold on one moment before you do that, Moss. So Spike, you and Sidion start setting up the shot, and as Chewie walks the rope over to you, the ground beneath them is going to flake away and start to drop them. Just as they're on the edge of what looked like a solid piece of ground, as it crumbles away, you'll see that its underside is lined with fungus, rotten through. This is what I gave you 3 momentum for. I can do this at any time. I love it. This is a game mechanic for setting a scene, and I adore it. So, Chewie, you got 1 success. The difficulty was 1, but you have a complication. The complication is going to be spore eruption. So you're going to slip and scramble, and suddenly this mass of spores is going to erupt into the air. You'll be able to scramble back to your feet without falling down, but now everything is partially obscured by this mass of spores in the air. Moss, you were standing back and conferring with your friend, and it looks up at you and goes, and refuses to help you unless you give it something, because it's tired. It helped you once already. Contacts can help you once for free.
Right.
in this
Okay.
system.
Good to know. Good to know. I have an item that is listed somewhere. I have a foci
Okay.
that I will give him. I will untie one of her little rocks, and will hand it to him and say, "Okay, I promise you a rock, so how about here's a really good one."
And it'll snatch it out of your hand with a tongue that's like cobwebs. And will go crunch, crunch in its mouth. And then you're going to see his cheeks start to warm up like hot pokers. And it's going to swallow the suddenly very liquid rock. So meanwhile, Chewie, you scramble back up. This massive fungus spores hits the air. What do you do?
I think she's going to flop on the ground directly on her face in a big jangling pile of potion bottles and merchandise, and lie there for like a full minute going, blah. And then after that, she'll get up and go take a look at it. But there's got to be like that minute of like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I'm not strong enough to carry my ginormous backpack.
The fungal cave beneath you all is throbbing with life.
Oh. Is it actually moving or just
Parts
very
of it.
alive?
It honestly is like watching veins pulse in a neck.
Oh, it's pretty.
Some of them,
Gideon.
some of the mushrooms move kind of swaying like jellyfish with their little drapey bits. So Chewie, you called
Look at this.
Sidian?
We're all on the same side of the
Yep, you are.
chasm, right? Yeah. Oh, you're done. Your little tantrum.
I can panic more later.
Oh, I.
All right, Spike. Make me a ranged and dex to try to hit this arrow in.
All the dice, all the dice.
It's beautiful. What must be feeding this whole network?
That's 2 hits.
2 hits. All right. So taking aim through the spores, you are going to fire and hit right at the ring. A moment later, that small critter that Moss summoned is going to climb up along the wall and loop the rope around where you shot it. And then give you what you think is a little thumbs up. Sidian, as you are looking down, anybody who wants to can look down, giving me probably a survival and composure roll. I would say.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Two.
2? Okay.
3.
You notice
Thanks.
that this hole, this cavern beneath this room, expands vastly further than you thought. You look like you're looking at the far left side of a bowl. In fact, the lower part of it. This chamber, this cavern underneath, probably extends through the other passageway as well, the rightmost one. It's sloped on the sides. And as you look down, 2 successes is just enough to see the outline of bones. Not one set. Hundreds of sets of bones in what was once the temple's abattoir.
Don't need to tell.
Well, that's neat.
Oh, did you, can you see that far?
I mean, not well. But you know me, just gonna bonk you on the head. I recognize a bone when I see it.
Oh, yeah. Don't worry about it. Wait. There are many, you said, right?
I'd say there are a lot of skeletons and like old rotted corpses down there. Yeah, the network's been feeding on them for at least a generation.
What the heck could... Oh, okay, so they're not like hundreds and hundreds of years old?
No.
Or would I know that?
You wouldn't be able to unless you got down there, but yeah, I'd say they're at least probably 50 years old.
Do you think we should tell the others?
Do you want to go take a look?
I kinda do, but
I guess the rope's busy.
rope's busy. And this is a sheer drop, almost. Like
It is a very sheer drop. You might be able to bounce from like massive mushroom stock to massive mushroom stock, but getting back up would be a quite a bitch. I'd say it's probably about it's at least let's see, it was 3 seconds to fall, so that's what, 60 feet probably? Maybe a little bit more?
about.
You might want to check it out later, I would say.
It's not part of the mission. I'm glad that you want
so
to check
pretty.
it out. It is, yeah.
Wait, we should find Hunsinger.
Right. Right.
Probably not these bones. Oh, hopefully.
Hopefully not them bones.
How do we describe this to the other two? We found a hole full of cool mushrooms and bones. Don't worry about it until later.
Well, you didn't have to mention all the bones.
I feel it's a major selling part of the whole, though.
Well, that's true. Oh, and all of the belongings. I know you like
Oh, I
checking out
forgot
the
about
belongings
that.
of the loved ones, so to make sure the loved ones receive them, right?
Sometimes, sure.
Right.
All right. Spike, your line is secure. You think that you can attach it somewhere up on, there's a ring opposite that you could probably set up a zip line through.
Spike will do just that.
Okay. You don't even need a roll to cross the span. Spike wraps his bow around it and zips across, landing on the other side. Do the rest of you follow? Okay. Moss, you need to boost up to reach it, but you can make it across without a problem.
Gideon, can you?
Oh yeah, aye.
Thank you.
Actually kneel down and let the smaller of the party kind of like hoist themselves off of him onto the zip line, unless they need a hand climbing across. Oh, actually, I'm probably the heaviest one here. No, wait,
Probably.
you're big lizard man, right, Spike?
A lizard man.
Yes.
There should be a lizard man. And Spike made it across no problem.
No problem. This is pretty sturdy.
Okay, I
These
suppose
rungs
I'll
that
trust
are hammered into the wall are thick iron rungs. Like in a Legend of Zelda game for some reason. Why? Because it's convenient.
And I forgot me hook shot. Or did... I've had a grappling hook this whole time.
You spend a momentum, or do you have one already on your sheet?
No, it's one of my mundane items.
Your Monday
Well, we
items.
couldn't have used it here, because we needed to get it to the...
You with your useful mundane items. I have cheese in an hourglass.
I have a bunch of empty bottles and a grappling
The
hook.
hourglass is broken, and Chewie would never eat the cheese. Her mom made it. It's too fancy.
All right, let's
Well, that
get across.
explains what the smell is.
Don't look down. Don't look down. Do the don't look down song.
All right, you land on the other side. And Chewie, you made it across as well, right?
Yeah, we'll also zip across.
All right.
If it's a
As you
zip
touch-
line, she'll like hold her helmet over the top of it and slide under the helm.
Looking into the next room as you land, the chamber opens up and you can see there is a pillared door on the opposite side of it. It's the first thing that you notice. columns holding up almost like a smaller building entryway, although it goes into flat cave stone. Marble, a wall of marble veins is the only thing at its back. However, as you look at this columned door, you see nothing inside of the door. Literally nothing. Except for glittering prismatic mist. It doesn't flow through the door. It simply holds there, like surface tension in water. Although it's vertical, about 30 feet ahead of you. In the center of the room itself is about 60 feet wide, and in the center of the room there is an old fire pit that has been designed. It has a hasty campfire built into this ancient stone fire pit, probably a ritual circle some time long ago. Strands of fungus intersect the floor, enough that you have to watch it like roping vines as you cross over to make sure you don't trip. And nearby against a wall, you will see a Darv. Their skin laced with familial tattoos, stories of cave explorations. And on their cheek, you can see a skull tattooed along the cheek and down along the throat, grinning. A tattoo of the Plutonians. Does anyone go and investigate the person?
I want to use an ability first.
Sure, what is your ability?
I'll use dialect codes. That's Plutonic. I can manipulate the shadows to communicate with them, and they would understand me.
If they're dead?
Is this
I want to see if they're
person
alive first.
in the room that has like the weird?
Yes, they are. They're laying up against one of the walls.
I don't know, but we can see through it enough to see him.
So let me re-describe. So it is a large square room. You are entering. The door is on the opposite side. There's a fire pit in the middle, and they are on the leftmost wall, leaning against.
Okay. Yeah, they're not through the big spooky mist door.
They're not. You can't see anything beyond the mist.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not in the mist.
They're not in the
I'll
mist.
They're
investigate
just in the
body.
room with the dubiously
okay.
unstable flooring.
I'll leave the
past that.
the spooky magic shite up to the magic-y ones.
All right. So Spike, you're allowed
Plutonic
to.
squad, move out.
You can communicate with them. Is it if they are dead? Does it work?
Nope.
Okay.
They have to be alive.
Okay.
Although I guess
I thought
Chewie
the
would
body was
probably
in the
understand it for whatever you're saying.
Yeah, you can understand when I do this.
Okay. So what do you do?
How far away are they?
They're about 20 feet from you. And Chewie's probably like right next to you because she's a tiny rat.
No, I'm like very excited to go sprint and investigate the dead thing.
Is it obvious they're dead? I guess is the first question.
This is a Darv.
What's the first question?
Is it pretty obvious they're dead, or is it hard to tell?
Their hood is over most of their face, but you think that they are dead. The front of their clothing is dark. They have a dark hood wrapped around their upper torso, but there's the scent of blood that your keen senses will pick up. You think
Yeah,
they're
so he'll just, they'll manipulate the shadows just a little bit and say, "Are you alive?" If they don't get a response, then they'll move forward.
all right.
Yeah,
Chewie
is
and
going to respond to you then and just say, I don't think so.
Seems like you're right.
Chewie and Spike, you approach. This body is lying on top of entwining lengths of fungi. They, as you get closer, perhaps she, has laid their head down on their pack. In one hand, they clutch at their waist curled piece of parchment. In their dominant hand, their right, they clutch an intricately designed and many geared contraption. You see it is a long climbing axe with number of levers and cable pulleys built into it, as well as some type of steam compression in the handle. It's a retractable climbing axe. It's a hook shot.
Is gonna grab it, spend a moment being torn between trying to figure out how this works and the body.
Okay, so you
Hook
now
it on
have
the side for a moment.
you have a climbing axe. It has a range of 60 feet and can be used as a ranged weapon as well as a melee weapon.
Thanks. I don't think she's gonna keep it. She's probably gonna give it to someone else, but I'll mark it down here.
Sounds good. So we're gonna call it a retractable climbing axe, or you can call it an axe shot or something like that. It's canon now. Matthew Dawkins, you gotta put it in. Hook shot axe.
What have you found there? Some sort of trinket? Again? Why did I take no dots in culture or technology?
Oh, it's a fascinating mechanism. Looking at the lever, the release, and the tension wedge here, I think that it would fire the axe head out, and then you would have the rope attached to it, and you could use it to pull yourself into a distant location. Brilliant work.
This is how they probably crossed the chasm, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, you lost me. So there's a mechanism, and there's steam trapped inside, and steam's like really hot water.
I think it's just using spring tension.
Okay,
crank it
I
up,
understand
probably.
springs.
Can I
Oh.
look at the other body?
So there's just one body.
Oh, sorry, I thought there was two of them.
Nope, just one body that you can see.
And
Do I
Spike's gonna
recognize?
look at the
Okay.
parchment while
Okay.
the mouse plays with their toy.
I'm gonna
All
move
right.
the hood to see if I recognize her or them.
Do you recognize them?
Yes, I do. If everyone is okay with me
Okay.
using momentum.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's Yvette Hollowknife, a cousin of yours. Tell me something about Yvette, besides them being a Plutonian scholar.
Whereas Sidian is kind of like a hunter and a man of nature, Yvette was a tinkerer and like an inventor.
And was obsessed with ancient ruins and things like this as well, anything of the dead.
Oh, Yvette. Oh, I'm gonna have to tell your mom and your brothers.
As you,
Moss pats his arm.
Sidian, as you pulled her hood back and look at her face, you're going to recognize something that Chewie didn't in her excitement. The tip of the climbing axe is coated with blood, and a long gash goes from just under her ear to the other that you couldn't see because of her head being tilted forward.
Can I see that that axe shot thingy that you found?
I think if it's from your family, you should have it. I'll give it to you.
Is there blood on the
Yes,
axe?
there is. And the underside of the axe is sharp as hell. Spike, as you unroll the parchment, you will see that it's a quick note. Hunsicker. I'm sorry, I couldn't wait any longer. The infection spread. I can feel it climbing up in me. I can hear them down below. I'm not gonna wait. And I'm not gonna be waiting for you like one of them when you get back. I hope you dream well. Yvette. And as you are looking at that, you notice the mycelia that she's laying on. They wrap inside of her clothing. And as you look at her throat, you can see little bits of mushrooms inside of her veins, sticking out from that raw, gaping wound.
Am I able to determine how long ago she might have passed?
What were the things she was talking about? We didn't encounter any things.
You will start to hear crumbling stone behind you. And as you turn around, there is a cracking noise as a clawed bone hand covered in fungal growths slams into the floor on your side of that hole. And then another, and another, as dozens upon dozens of fungal undead begin to flood out of the abattoir, climbing over each other like ants.
The hole we came from?
The hole you came from.
Is there a door? Is there a door? Is there a door?
There's the fizzy door.
So the entrance to this room had no door?
The entrance, nope, there was no. It was an open door, open chamber.
I'm sorry, Yvette. I can't take you with me right now.
Let's go.
Do you grab her pack?
Yeah. You can take it and run. Maybe the supplies.
Maybe I can come back for her body later. Spike, which way?
Can you do me a favor? What's your defense?
Oh. Is that a static?
Would you like to roll your defense? Roll your stamina, please.
Me?
Yep.
Is it just rolling stamina?
Roll stamina and add it to 1.
Oh, does armor matter for defense?
It will if you get hit.
Oh. So roll stamina.
Yep.
I got 1 hit.
You got 1 hit. All right. You are going to take 1 point of damage, which is going to be absorbed by your armor. As you reach down and pull her pack, her arm is going to lash out and tear part of your armor aside with undead strength. As she looks up at you, her eyes open, milky, and you can see spores moving in the viscous fluid of her eyeballs as she groans through the hole in her throat. Do you all take off running toward...
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna
Oh, yeah,
try to
wheel
off
leg
her
it.
head.
Okay.
Maybe I can bring her head with me.
All right.
Also give her
Probably
some
gonna
peace.
Try to bite you.
Go ahead and give me a roll. Give me a might and close combat roll.
Oh, come on, artifact, weapon.
Make it a clean cut, clean cut.
Oh, you got to be kidding.
What'd you get?
My biggest pool, and I only got 1.
You got 1. That's not going to be able to cut through her defense, unfortunately. So you stab into her throat, but the tissue has gone leathery with whatever's growing beneath it. She looks up at you and goes, "All right, who's racing through the misty door?"
Pulling on Sidian with all of my tiny mousy strength. And then, yeah, racing through the door.
Okay. You race
Not
through the
leaving
door.
this doof behind.
Moss, do you go?
I think Moss is at the edge of the door and then sees
Spike's gonna grab you if you're
Gideon.
standing there and just go yeet.
as you do that, can I like I have wisdom as my strength, so I can make a close combat roll with my esoterica.
Yep.
So can I, like, as a last thing as he's pushing me through, kind of like throw some chaos at the knife at her throat to try to push it through to like.
I'll
help
allow that.
him.
Yeah, let's do that. Go ahead and
Sure.
and make me a chaos roll.
Beautiful with esoterica and dexterity.
With esoterica, yep, and add +1 enhancement to the roll at the end because of the chaos. Actually, add +2 because the obscura is right here, and I'm going to say that's going to increase the ambient chaos.
And then I have a +3, so that's +5 enhancement.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is 3 + 5 is 8.
8. All right, that is going to 8 successes.
Yeah, because I got 5
Okay,
enhancement.
so Sidian, you try to cut, it holds, she moans at you, and suddenly your blade goes through her throat right as Chewie rips you aside as you are holding her hair and your knife in one hand. Moss, you do that. Suddenly, rocks begin to explode out of the ground as the chaos that you evoke begins to create all these spiky outcroppings that start like sticking through like God's fingers into the room. Spike grabs you and yeets you into the mist and then leaps through. Sidian, you are being grabbed by Chewie. The undead charge you. Do you go through?
He at least has her head, and
We can come back, maybe.
They're getting closer. 10 feet. 8 feet.
Oh, I'm gonna pick up Chewie and run.
Okay. Leaping. The undead shamble and scream behind you. And you leap through the mist. As each of you do, you leap into the void, feeling the mist of the Obscura roll over you. And then, you feel every cell of your body dissolve into nothingness as your bodies are destroyed. And we'll see what
Wait, but I
happens
like
to
that
you.
thing.
We'll see what happens to you
No.
next episode. The
How
obs-
dare
Ah, that's
you?
I
cool.
love it. The Obscura literally destroys you when you enter. It's one of my favorite things. You might come back, but like it literally transporters you.
Nice.
Amazing.
That's so cool.
Right? All right, so
Oh,
folks,
yay, we get to philosophical debates if we make it back. Woo!
it's true. Are we the ship of Theseus? Good job. All right, so folks, that was The World Below episode 2. We still got 2 episodes to go before this is done, so you definitely want to be here next Thursday night as they explore the Obscura. I have been given carte blanche by Onyx Path to describe what the Obscura is like in our world. I think it's real cool what I've come up with, and I think you're really going to enjoy it. If you like this game, please go to Onyx Path's Kickstarter or their backer kit and back the game. It is not terribly expensive. If you can't afford it right now, when it comes out, go to your local game store, have them order it in for you. Because the better that small publishers do, the better we all do at having new and cool role-playing games.
And for your LGS.
Yep, support your local game store. I am perpetually surprised. Like, it's very intimidating to run a game like this out of a manuscript where you can't just flip through. There's no real references. It's all like copy find in Adobe or whatever PDF viewer you use. And I'm perpetually surprised by how easy this is to run and how weird and accepting it is of crazy ideas. Like, I ran out of time. I was gonna have like a room where the floor tiles could rearrange, and then whatever what word you rearranged it into out of the options, it would become. Like if you rearrange it into sand, it would become sand. If you arranged it into water, the room would flood, and things like that.
Whoa.
So steal that idea for later.
Cheese.
Yeah.
Cheese.
Cheese, and the room becomes cheese. Yeah.
I rearrange it into 1000 XP. Oh, there's no X.
Right?
Wait, 1000p? No, take back.
Yep. 1000p. So much p. It's stored there in the bulbs. All right, so folks, that's gonna be it for us tonight. A big thank you to everybody who supports us over on Patreon. Patreon is your #1 way to support Dork Tales because we are a very small creation studio. It's basically me and the production team when they have time. So please consider going over there and supporting, where you can get a ton of additional content. I am in the process of editing and sound mixing Dork Tales, the podcast episode 2. It should be up in the next couple of days. In the meanwhile, there is a ton of content up on the Patreon right now. Please go check it out. We're recording so much stuff, so I'm very tired. But it would be fantastic to have you over there. You would join the ranks of people like my mom, our divine producer, and my stepdad Bob. You want to hang out with them? They're really cool people. They have funny accents. You want to definitely do it. You want to hang out with Precarious, the channel's Funkle, over there. You can also hang out with Breck on Friday nights on his channel, twitch.tv/Precarious, where you can sometimes see Traz or Michael or even our buddy Amberthist, who we'll talk about in a minute. You can join the Wizards of the Patreon, like Tabby the Forever Cleric and the Ink Goblin, and you can join the likes of our High Council of the Patreon, because don't you want to get high like them? Wait, didn't mean it that way, or did I? That would be Taryn, Buddy, Amberthist. What? I just was talking about him. Raven with Baubles, Karasha, Urquhart, Chef Aladeth, Larouk, Sorcerer Sanguine, and Mike Baxter. And Mike Baxter's like just a cool dude. You want to hang out with they're all cool dudes. You can join council member Larouk. Taryn's been around forever and a day. Seriously, go and hang out with them. Soul's there. Soul's one of the VIPs. Join the VIP tier. It's the price of a cup of coffee. It's cheaper if you pay for a year. But that is going to be it from us. Thank you, Onyx Path, for sponsoring this stream. We will see you next time. Good night, everybody. Bye. I looked at Chris and he scared me.
I know, right? It really is sort of like an ominous Force Ghost, but the moving background, he just leaps out at you. It's like, ah!
I know. I love the moving background so much.
That was in the mist.
Ambush friends.
Ambush friends. Good night, everybody.
Take care, y'all.